Buckle up, boys. Time to go to work.
Dan Patrick.
Welcome to the Dan Patrick Show.
If you don't know the facts, then you gotta shut
This didn't impact the game.
And what do you mean by that?
I didn't say it didn't impact the game.
Sign stealing is a distinct advantage for the hitter.
I think absolutely not. I don't think it taints it.
So then what are you guys apologizing for?
Absolutely nothing.
When are we going to be over this? When they get the punishment they deserve.
Bill Shaken covers the Dodgers for the LA Times, covers baseball for the LA Times, and he's kind enough to join us. It feels like the commissioner is still protecting the Astros.
Clearly, when Rob Manfred was telling the public, go ahead and shame the Astros, that'll be their punishment, he was telling teams even back then, I do not want a festival of retaliation. Whatever feelings you have about the Houston Astros, please do not express them with 95-mile-an-hour baseball.
Broadcasting from the Mercedes Man Cave, this is Dan Patrick.
We made it to a Friday. It's a Meat Friday at that. Welcome to the program. We're down to Danette. McLovin has taken a day off. Shark Watch. He's going to Cape Cod to look for sharks. Fritzy's here, Seaton's here, Paulie's here, and yours truly. Boys in the back. We got Marvin answering phones. We got Tyler, the moderator, with Chat Row. We got the big German running the TV portion of this. We're ready to go. You're allowed to be part of the program if you want. Variety of ways. You can email. You can tweet. You can also dial us up. Say good morning to our folks watching on TV. That's youtube.com/The Dan Patrick Show. And our great radio affiliates around the country. NBA appeared to bend over backwards to bring the New Orleans Pelicans down to the bubble. At least that's what a lot of people thought when they decided to settle on 22 teams to compete. And based on the TV schedule, there's no doubt that they considered Zion Williamson a big draw. They front-loaded the regular season TV schedule, and then Zion was out with surgery. Now he's back in the bubble, and he was on display last night. Ideally, the Pelicans would like to find a way to reach the postseason, then face the Lakers in the first round. The problem is they come into the bubble as the number 10 seed, and they have a lot of work to do. They have the easiest schedule of the teams in the bubble, but they lost last night to the Utah Jazz. Zion was on a strict minutes count. More on this coming up in a little bit. They turned the ball over 20 times. They shouldn't have lost that game. They were the better team last night, but give credit to Utah. They hung in there, and in crunch time, Pelicans couldn't hit a shot, and Utah got a couple of big shots there at the end. And despite all the hype, the Pelicans are young. They're fun. You not only have Zion Williamson, Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram, to me, you're watching somebody grow up before your very eyes. And I remember when we had Reggie Miller on. This is a while ago. This is when Ingram was traded, or maybe it was rumored to be traded. And he said he needs to get out from LeBron's shadow. And he said he'll do better in a smaller city than he would in Los Angeles. And I found that interesting. I don't know that much about Brandon Ingram other than what I saw at Duke. And he has a Kevin Durant type build to him. But what I love to see is improvement. He wasn't a good free throw shooter. He's become a good free throw shooter. He was not a good three-point shooter. He's become a good three-point shooter. He's now becoming a Kevin Durant light. How's that? Lonzo Ball benefited from getting away from his dad and getting away from the shadow of LeBron James. This is a fun team. And if I have those three, if I have Zion, Ingram, and Lonzo Ball, and I have them for the next 5 years maybe or longer, you might be able to do something really special in New Orleans. Now, I would love to see them have a true rim protector or a big man there. But watching last night against Utah, you can see the embryonic stages of what could be something that's special there. But the Pelicans, they're young. They have a great future. But just because they're on TV all the time doesn't mean they're suddenly going to win on a consistent basis. And you saw that last night. We're going to talk to Chris Haynes. Chris Haynes was working the sidelines for TNT last night. And I want to know, What was up with Zion Williamson that I have him play 3 minutes and then he sits out the rest of the quarter and then 4 minutes? He played 15 minutes last night. He scored 13 points. Are you trying to win? You're sort of trying to win because he's either ready to play or he's not. And I would argue this. Having Zion play in a 3-minute spurt, a burst, would leave him more susceptible to doing something that he could injure himself, re-injure himself. Because once he gets done, then he gets on a bicycle and rides the bicycle the rest of the quarter. I would rather have him out there and just say, I'm going to have you play 7 minutes because he's going to get out there and try to do everything in a 3-minute period. And that, to me, is dangerous. If you don't think, remember, he was in the best shape of his life. And then he left with a family emergency. Then he came back. He was quarantined for 4 days. And then he's out there and you're going, okay, he's sort of out there. You can't get anything going in 3 minutes. You're not going to get back in shape. I think they appreciate being in the bubble. I think this is a good experience for that team. I don't know if they're really trying to win. Because if you are, then put Zion out there. If not, then don't play him. That's what I said yesterday. Is he going to play or not play? 3 minutes? 3 minutes is not going to. Okay, what happens next game? 4 minutes? 5 minutes? And you're on the clock. You got to win these games if you want to make it into the bubble and face the Lakers in the opening round. So that was puzzling. But we'll talk to Chris Haynes. He was on the sidelines for that. Watching the Lakers last night against the Clippers, that was a lot of fun. That was intense. I mean, that was playoff basketball. Anthony Davis was the best player on the floor, but the game came down to LeBron James doing what LeBron James does. He scored 13 of the Lakers' 27 fourth-quarter points, played great defense on Paul George in the waning seconds to close out that victory, and he made the go-ahead basket in the final 15 seconds. It wasn't a great shot, off-balance shot, but the follow-up was great. The 16-foot jump shot, then got his own rebound. And this was something that was, I thought, big for LeBron because LeBron means business. And he wasn't talking. LeBron was just playing. He wanted to send the message that this is serious. We have a mission. We have a job to do. He wanted Paul George in the closing seconds, and he wanted Kawhi Leonard on the defensive end in the closing seconds. I loved it because that's what I want. I want my guy out there, and he knows what's at stake here. But a lot of fun last night. I'm not getting caught up in the crowd noise, the ambiance, the lack thereof. It's not ideal. But what's the other option here? There is none. So I just enjoyed it. What was weird was it was a Pelicans home game. So they catered the noise. Now, that crowd noise is in the arena and in our TV. And then they would pump up. So let's say J.J. Redick hit a shot, and then you'd hear the crowd go, and I don't know how you can take advantage of that if that's your home court advantage. But that was a little odd. Yes, Eaton.
Is the NBA the only league doing that? The in-house crowd? I was always under the impression that the other leagues did it, like it's, or say soccer, they just did it on TV, but in the actual stadium itself there was no sound.
I was surprised too, because I thought, okay, that's just for us.
I'm still surprised. You're saying that the players can hear the exact feed that we hear?
Yeah.
Which that actually seems super cheesy. Doing it for the TV experience, I get, but pumping it into an empty stadium sounds so corny.
Oh, I know. In the 15 minutes, Zion was on the floor. Pelicans were outscored by 16 points. I hate to be a hater on a Friday, but just pointing out. Look, he did not look good. I mean, he had those moments where he has a great play, an alley-oop from Lonzo Ball, power move to the hoop. He didn't look great. LeBron didn't look great to start the game, but Zion is what, 19, 20? I'm hopeful that he could be, LeBron is what, 35? I understand if he's maybe struggling to come back here. Zion just turned 20. I'm hopeful that he would be ready to go. But Zion last night, Okay, didn't look great, but Brandon Ingram, man, he's got it all.
Are you calling Brandon Ingram? Because there's some people in this room who said they may have called Brandon Ingram.
All I know is I might have a couple more people on my Pelicans bandwagon.
Oh, yeah, definitely. They're a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah. Oh,
It's breaking news for you, but Pelicans are fun to watch.
I know.
I think if we're going back in the order, I think Andrew has a pretty good claim on Brandon Ingram.
McLovin, well, he's not here. So
He's
we
not
don't-
here, but he was very high on him at Duke.
Yeah,
not
but-
like that's difficult call to make, but
But he does claim a lot of people, though, Seton.
that is true. He does.
Remember when he bought the Bucks hat and he was all in on the Milwaukee Bucks?
Yes.
Yeah. So he does jump in. Blaine Gabbert, remember when he was all in on Blaine Gabbert?
He's just more pro-ready.
Yeah, than Cam Newton.
He stands by it.
Oh, gosh. Yeah. All right, so we'll take some moments with Chris Haynes coming up in about 10 minutes from now. Matt Ryan of the Falcons will join us coming up as well. Tonight, 6 NBA games, 13 baseball games, 10 NHL games coming up this weekend. You're going to have over 60 games coming up this weekend with baseball, hockey, and the NBA. But if you, I mean, the normal schedule is we wouldn't have hockey and we wouldn't have the NBA. Those seasons would be over a year ago at this time. There would be no preseason football. That would start the following week. You would have baseball. And unless more teams have positive tests, you're going to have 13 baseball games coming up tonight. By the way, if I say the name Shane Bieber, anybody?
Justin Bieber's little brother.
Nope. Nope. It's weird to see the jersey and you see Bieber on the back, and Shane Bieber is a pitcher. He pitches for the Cleveland Indians. And I was watching him last night. Shane Bieber brings cheese. He has had 27 strikeouts in his first 2 starts this season. That's tied for the most by any pitcher in baseball history in the first 2 starts of a season. The only other time it happened was back in 1954. 27 strikeouts, 1 walk for Shane Bieber.
Stat of the day, stat of the day, tap, tap, stat of the day, stat of the day. Here comes that
What?
Stat of the day.
Paulie, can you check? I thought a couple of weeks ago I said, you know what? I got a sneaky dark horse for Cy Young in the American League.
He said something.
Now, I don't know if I said it on the air, but maybe as I was walking out to the kitchen
You called me one night and said there's this guy
Oh,
in
I
Cleveland who's got a lot of gas. Throwing a lot of
Well,
cheese.
that's Terry Francona.
There you go.
Yeah.
I'm going to back you.
Shane Bieber
Your guy.
has faced 50 batters this season. He struck out 27 of them.
Dang.
Yeah. I'm on the Shane Bieber bandwagon.
You're a believer?
Yes, I am. Yes, Todd.
How about Bieber gun for a nickname since he throws so hard? Or is that not politically correct because you're using the word gun? It's too violent. Instead of a BB gun, Bieber gun. Or does that need to be workshopped a little more?
I mean, I'm not worried about the political correctness of a BB gun, but
It's just a bad nickname.
It was just a bad nickname. Yeah.
Yeah, don't blame America.
Yeah. But thank you, Todd, for
Yeah.
showing up today.
All right.
Well done. Who is handling the poll question today with McLovin not here?
I'll do it.
Are
You guys are okay with that?
Are you
Sure.
capable of filling the large shoes of McLovin?
Well, nobody could ever fill McLovin's shoes when it comes to the poll question, but I could certainly try my best.
Okay. What do you have for us, Seton?
Well, I was actually thinking what we could do is normally we just say like, oh, hey, Paul had this idea or whatever. I was going to throw out some suggestions, and then you can not only decide which poll question you like, but who submitted said poll question.
Oh, okay.
We'll make a game out of it.
Okay. Got a new format here.
I'm already off to a good start, right?
Okay. Who suggested? Do we have music for this?
You know what? We sure could.
Okay. By the way, this program is brought to you by the great wireless earbuds. The way to go is Raycon, Raycon, and you can get 15% off your Raycon order at buyraycon.com/Patrick. That's buyraycon.com/Patrick. Here we go. And who suggested this poll question?
If you were 22 years old, would you rather play for the Lakers or the Pelicans?
Do I have to answer the question, or tell you who came up with the question.
I think you should answer the question and
Answer the question!
Who came up with the question? If you were 22 years old, would you rather play for the Lakers or the Pelicans?
Well, I'm going to be playing for a championship if I'm 22. I don't know what role I play.
Doesn't seem like a lot of fun, though, does it?
Probably not. Not as much fun as you would think it would be. You're in Los Angeles. Well, you're not even in Los Angeles. You're in the bubble. Pelicans feel like, hey, let's just go out there and have some fun. So I'd probably say the Pelicans, judging from what I've seen with Lonzo Ball and Brandon Ingram, feels like they can go out there. You might make a mistake. It's okay. So I'd say the Pelicans.
Do you know who suggested that?
You.
Yes. Oh, you're on fire. Well done. Well done. The second question.
Okay.
NBA restart looked more entertaining than awkward? More awkward than entertaining?
I'm going to say Todd.
Correct. Man, you are on fire. 2 for 2.
I don't care about the aesthetics other than the basketball wasn't necessarily great at times last night. So I'm fine with the entertainment portion of it.
Okay. Next question. Sports-wise, July ... sucked. It was a nice little month, actually.
It's all blending together. So, Paulie, that's yours?
Yeah, shocker.
Okay, but
My point was, I can remember we did this a month ago, and we said that June was pretty bad. Everything was getting pushed back. Now, 30 days later,
no, I'm good with July.
it seems like we're going in the right direction,
Yes.
sports-wise.
Yes. June was rough.
Very.
May was rough. April was rough. July, nirvana. I'm happy with what we've accomplished so far. Hopefully we get all these games in over the weekend. I'm absolutely fine with all of that. Yes, Eden.
After watching the NBA restart last night, I'm going to watch more than I planned, going to watch less than I planned.
Okay, who came up with that question? Todd came up with that question.
Accurate.
I'm watching more, but that's
just you.
Yeah, that's just me. Mm-hmm. But I want to watch the team, like Washington, the Wizards. I'm going to watch because nobody's going to watch. And Sacramento, I'm going to watch because nobody's probably going to watch. Or the Brooklyn Nets, nobody's going to watch. But I'm watching all of these things. Yeah, Paul.
There was no option for I'm going to watch exactly the same amount as before. Like, I haven't changed my opinion whatsoever. I have the exact number of games I plan to watch. That's what I'm going to watch.
You know what? There was that option, but I thought it would have given away Todd too easily. The middle of the road.
You can't give that on the fence
I know.
neutral.
Yeah.
Can't give him an easy out like that. But that would be my on the fence third choice. Not committing either way.
You are one of the best at being on the fence.
I'm going to watch approximately the same amount.
Roughly the same amount. Here's another one for you, Dan.
Okay. All right.
Is it acceptable to talk trash about Super Bowl 51 to Matt Ryan? Yes, no. Being the
Okay. Who is the person who could be talking trash?
It could be TB12 if you want. It could be...
Because I can't.
Right, you can't.
I can't. If you played in the game, I think you can, but Matt Ryan is not a guy that you would talk trash to.
He seems nice.
He's a
nice guy.
Yeah.
Like, hey, man, that kind of probably stunk.
I mean, his nickname is Matty Ice. You can't spell nice without ice. I mean, he's just Matty Nice.
It's not because he's cold-blooded.
No. He might be, but yeah, he's joining us in the last hour of the program. I'm going to bring up 28-3. I'm going to bring it up, but I don't know how I'm going to bring it up. Yes, Paul.
It'd be a lot more fun and funny to poke Matt Ryan if he had a Super Bowl ring since then. Like if he had won the next year. Like if Bill Buckner had won World Series MVP 2 years later, you might be able to have a little fun with 86.
Yeah, but I can't joke with Russell Wilson Jr. III and say, hey, how's Malcolm Butler?
No,
hey, did you think about naming your son Malcolm?
That wouldn't go well.
No, it wouldn't. So, didn't he name his son Win?
Yes.
Win.
Not Winchester. It's not short for Winchester or Winthrop. It's just Win.
Okay. Win.
That's a cool name. Like Win Butler?
His middle name is If We Run the Ball.
Wow.
No, that's too soon.
Wow.
His middle name is Give It to Beast Mode.
Yeah. Win if we give it to Beast Mode.
Meaning we would have won if we had handed the ball
Yeah.
off, damn it.
Skittle Wilson.
Yeah, but if you have a name like Win and then you don't win, I don't know.
It sets up a lot of playground trash talk for sure.
Because we get caught up, as parents, when you give somebody a name. Oh, my grandmother's middle name was Grace, or my dad's name was Jack. Now, kids don't give a damn, why you were named after somebody. They're just looking for that loophole of how do I make fun of you? Win.
It was awkward when we were my wife was pregnant and we were in the process of naming my son. We wouldn't tell anybody what the name was, even though we had it picked out, because I didn't really want. One of the things that happened is oh, we're thinking about this name, and then people will say, oh, I don't like that. Oh, I hate that name. And then when it's a family member that says that, it's I don't know, maybe we were thinking of that name. So we didn't say anything, and then I think the expectations got built up that we were naming our son after someone in the family. Because there was this moment in the hospital where they're what's the name? And we're Kieran. There was
Wait.
Oh, that's nice. Okay. That's nice.
So your dad thought maybe you were naming your son after your dad?
No, I don't know who. It could have been anybody in the family.
Your brother maybe thought?
Yeah, maybe, okay. Oh, that's very nice.
All right, let me take a break. We'll talk to Chris Haynes, get his thoughts on the games last night. So he did the Pelicans-Jazz game, and then you walk down the street, and then you get to see the Lakers and the Clippers. So we'll talk to Chris, and does he have any more information on Zion Williamson and the minutes restriction? And I think the answers are kind of confusing coming from the Pelicans. Have that for you coming up. It's 22 after the hour. Glad you're with us. Hour one, Dan and the Danettes, Dan Patrick Show. I mentioned these wireless earbuds just a couple of minutes ago. Let me give you a little bit more detail here. Everybody is looking for that great pair of wireless earbuds. But what I love about Raycon, well, there's a lot of things to love about Raycon. They're about half the price of the other premium wireless earbuds on the market, and they sound just as amazing as those top audio brands. Ask for the everyday E25 earbuds. Just remember E25. Like if Jason Giambi made an error at first base, E25. Well, no, it'd be E3, but never mind. E25 earbuds, their best ones yet. 6 hours of playtime, seamless Bluetooth pairing, more bass, and you're going to love the design that they have, the nice noise isolating fit. Raycon's wireless earbuds are so comfortable, perfect for conference calls. If you're doing video chats, get 15% off your order. You go to buyraycon.com/Patrick. So it's buyraycon.com/Patrick for 15% off your Raycon wireless earbuds. You called me the Charlotte Observer. You remember this? Because I observed for a couple of months, I think, that I was just there watching you guys do SportsCenter, and I got to the point where I go, I think I got it down here. And then they said, all right, you're going to do your first SportsCenter. You had just done the 11 o'clock SportsCenter, and you said, I'll stay and do the SportsCenter with you. And that might have been, I don't know if it was a 1 o'clock or a 2 o'clock, but you were staying late, and I never forgot that. It's one of the kindest gestures that you ever did, and you've done an awful lot, but you stayed, and I got the intimidation out of the way because I did a show with you, survived, and then I moved on from there.
You called me on a bad day. You observed for that. What did you observe for 2 months? Because now the ESPN I came to, 3 weeks old, October 1st, 79, was a little different than the ESPN you came to. Although, when was this, late 80s, Dan?
89.
Okay, so you're coming from CNN. You did the show. You knew what you were doing.
Yeah.
So, I'm 24. I've been on TV in Hartford for 3 months. I started, you're going to do the overnight show at 3 a.m. You're going to watch one night. They didn't tell me one night. Watch what this guy does at the 3 a.m. sign-off show. And I came in October 2nd, my second night, and says, well, where's Wayne Hagan? Well, he thought, here, you're doing the show. What? So I had a quick, I was the Charlotte glancer.
Did you almost not work at ESPN?
Never come there, you mean?
Yeah.
Way back then?
Yeah.
Well, no. Hartford TV was just the weekend, Saturday, Sunday, $23 Saturday night and $23 Sunday night at the NBC in Hartford.
Killing it.
Minimum wage, pal.
Yeah.
And no, I applied because they were just starting. I said, I don't have a tape to send you. Why don't you watch me?
But you knew nothing about what it was.
I knew it was starting. So I went over there, not there, but there was some other place like late August or early September to, hey, would you consider me? And then I got a phone call. I was working radio during the week, TV on the weekend, Dan, but again, for nothing. Would you like to do our overnight, our sign-off at the time show? I'm making a combination of maybe 10. And they said, we'll pay you 16. Where do I sign up? 3 a.m. I did that pretty much for 4 years, other than the football. It was okay. It was,
but also
traffic wasn't bad going home.
I'm wondering if you came along 10 years later.
Good question. With that experience, never would have been hired. I mean, I'd already been on for 3 months, but really.
But also your style.
Okay. Well, interesting question. They would have had to have decided, if we're looking at this, let's say I was on local or Hartford or somewhere TV for a few years doing what I was doing.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to say I was Warner Wolf, but he was certainly upbeat, and that did exist, just not.
Yeah.
Of course, local sports would be 5 minutes. You won't have time to do nicknames of the Seattle Mariners if you're working in Connecticut, They would have had to decide ahead of time if this is for us or not. Me, it was throw him on. I think he can speak in complete sentences, and we'll see how it goes.
But there was no blueprint for what you were doing.
No.
Nationally.
No, and there was no blueprint, Dan, for the show, a half-hour sports. Walter Cronkite only had a half an hour. Yeah. That's real news, if you think about it. So there's no blueprint for any of it. We're in Houston, Mercury astronauts. We went up, circled around, and hoped we came down in the ocean.
Lakers last night shot 39% from the floor. LeBron and AD were a combined 14 for 38, 37%, but they do get the victory. We'll settle on a poll question. Todd, is that a Manchester United jersey?
It is. It's got my last name on the back and everything. I couldn't name you a player or a coach or anybody, but found it in the closet, and I don't know why I'm wearing a soccer kit. After the NBA reopened.
Can you name one player on Manchester United?
I don't think I can.
Okay. How historically?
Probably not. I'm sure that I know there's famous soccer players, but I don't know if they were affiliated with Manchester United.
Yeah.
What's funny is you could actually guess, like if you just started guessing the most famous soccer players you might know, you'd probably hit a couple that were on there.
Like Ronaldo or
there you go.
Beckham, Rolandino.
Yeah.
Those would be a few
guys. You salvaged it a little bit there.
Rolandino.
Yeah.
Big fan of
No, he got two correct.
Got two, though.
Yeah. It's all right.
Beckham.
Yeah, I'm just curious. Now that you can't wear the Houston Astros jerseys.
Soon I'm going to not be able to wear anything athletics related at all.
You're gonna run out of things to wear there,
no
Todd.
Sports of any kind.
All right, did we decide on a poll question here? Seton?
Well, no, we haven't decided on one. Is there one that you like?
It's your day. Today is your day because you're filling in for McLovin.
So I'm going to, how about we start with, I guess I'll start with one of mine. If you were 22, which team would you want to play for?
Okay.
Lakers or Pelicans?
All right. That's interesting. Go for the clicks.
Sure.
Kennedy in Louisville. Hey, Kennedy, what do you have for me today?
Hey, Dan, how are you?
Good. Good. What's on your mind?
Right on topic. Because McLovin's out today, it kind of seems like that Drew Bledsoe, Tom Brady moment for Ethan. Just kind of seems like his moment to step in, come up with a couple stats, Just kind of my thoughts.
All right. Well, thank you, Kennedy. I did say this when McLovin said, hey, I'm going to take Friday off. I'll see you on Monday. I said, Ethan probably is going to join us tomorrow. And he goes, really? I go, no, Ethan will help us with stats because, of course, you know that I love Ethan. He's really good at what he does. He graduated from Harvard. This would be the cue for the big German to hit the sound effect.
Oh, Ethan.
Thank you. Let me direct the show as well, apparently. But Ethan will have some. In fact, Ethan had the stat on AD and LeBron James. You know, Ethan could probably direct the show as well.
Wow.
Apparently anybody can.
I don't know that there's anything he can't do so far.
He's incredible. Yes. More phone calls are welcome. 877-3DP show. Let's bring in Chris Haynes, Yahoo Sports, NBA writer, senior writer for them, but also working the sidelines for TNT last night. Had his suit on, had his mask on, and he was working the opener, the Pelicans and the Utah Jazz. Let me start with that game. Chris, thanks for joining us. What was the most unusual part of last night's game?
Dan, it had like a summer league feel, like how you were attending multiple games. But the crowd, the fake crowd noise, like that kept getting to me because it was like it was overly loud. And it was funny because, you know, the players would score a basket or make a big play and this large virtual crowd noise would, you know, just hit the arena and the players wouldn't really react. Like they knew this wasn't real fans. You know, they weren't getting hyped up. And so it's just a different atmosphere. And, you know, going to, you know, I did the Pelicans Jazz game for TNT. Then I walked down the street and went and saw the rest of the Lakers and Clipper game. And then, you know, you just see a lot of players sitting in the stands right there. It's a unique atmosphere, something I've really never experienced before.
Were players who weren't playing last night, their teams weren't playing at the games?
Correct. So you had Damian Lillard there. You had Carmelo Anthony, C.J. McCollum, Chris Paul was there, DeMar DeRozan. You know, it was about, I would say, 20 players. I think Russell Westbrook, James Harden was there as well. So, I mean, just having players just come and watch the game and check out the atmosphere, you know, we never seen anything like this.
Zion on the minutes restriction here. It was a game-time decision. What did you learn from what was happening or what their game plan is with Zion moving forward?
I'll say this. Zion was pissed. Like, he wanted to play. And obviously, I think the members of the Pelicans feel like if he was able to go down the stretch or play significant minutes, that they would have got the win last night. But the plan was to get him out there in 3 to 4 minute bursts. They said he said he really wasn't on a minutes restriction, but they just wanted to make sure they kept him in spurts. But I don't think Zion, I don't know that he knew that he was going to go out there and get 15 minutes. So that was disappointing from his standpoint because you have to understand New Orleans Pelicans, you know, they're fighting for a playoff spot. And these games count. It's only 7 more games left. So they're trying to put themselves in position to get in that top 8.
Yeah, but Chris, I don't understand this. Are they there to win, to try to get into the playoffs? And if they are, then why aren't you playing Zion? And I would argue those 3 to 4 minute bursts, he might have more of an opportunity to get injured as opposed to kind of being able to go, I can relax a little bit and have a 7 or 8 minute stretch here.
No, I see what you're saying, DP. I think New Orleans is thinking of the long game here. And obviously with his injury history, they want to make sure, you know, they want to be careful. Let's just be real, DP. There's not a lot of teams. I'm not saying New Orleans is one of those teams. There's not a lot of teams that's putting a lot of stock in playing meaningful games here. You know, there's some teams that, you know, quite simply were forced to be here. You know, I don't think, you know, you look at Washington's roster, they're not absolutely, you know, they're not trotting a playoff type roster out there. So, you know, I think New Orleans, like, they want to win, but I don't think they're going to do it at the detriment of Zion's long-term ability with the team.
Yeah, but why? I just don't understand it because he wants to play. So you just said he wants to play and he was really upset about not playing. So who's right? The Jazz or the Pelicans' approach to this game with the Jazz, or Zion saying, look, I'm back. I came back. I want to play.
Well, we have to keep in mind, DP, that he went away on a family emergency. So he hasn't been with the team getting a lot of practices in. I think he got, want to say 2, maybe 2.5 practices in before the game. So they want to just make sure that, you know, he's make sure that he's in the right mind. And look, I see both sides, but I also get, having a significant injury for Zion, or maybe there's something lagging. The team is being very quiet with his injuries and if he's hurt or not. They're saying this is strictly a conditioning issue because he's been away. But, we really don't know. So without knowing all the facts and them being transparent, I can't really make the call on who's right or not.
He's Chris Haynes, the Yahoo senior NBA insider. He was courtside reporter for the Jazz Pelicans, Mr. TV star. By the way, he was on TNT last night. Looked good. Blue jacket, blue mask. You looking good. Look tight. Look tight.
You got to coordinate.
Oh, no. I'm Mr. Coordinate. That's all I do.
DP, I'll say this, man. It was hell for me talking through that mask because you got your hot breath all in your mask, and I'm sweating as it is. I got this full suit on, and it's humidity. It's not the most comfortable feeling. But we try to use proper social distance and wear your mask covering, but it's not a comfortable feeling.
The Lakers and the Clippers, that was spirited. Came down to the last possession, and what did you take away from that game?
It was weird. DP, I went and watched that game. I watched second quarter on. It was weird because I saw LeBron talking way more during the scrimmage, like going at players, cussing at his players, teammates. Just saw him real lively. And he was real quiet last night. I think more so because the games are starting and now we can actually hear everything they say. It was an awkward, bizarre scene. It's one that I probably can't really demonstrate and tell properly because people aren't there.
Yeah.
But just the scene of just no fans, and I think everybody's trying to be on their best behavior. I think Anthony Davis made a point in saying we can't say what we want to say because there's no fans, and so they'll hear everything. So it seemed like they're kind of trying to keep everything compressed, and so I'm interested in seeing if that's something that they can continue as the season moves forward.
I know there's a lot of pressure on LeBron. There should be a lot of pressure on Anthony Davis. This is Anthony Davis's chance to really shine on a big stage. LeBron's done this. Kawhi's done this. I think Paul George and Anthony Davis have a lot to prove here in the bubble. Your thoughts?
I do, but it's LeBron James. It's LeBron James. He's going to get the bulk of the criticism. Yeah. He's going to get the bulk of the praise. That's just what comes with it. Now, any other star, and maybe even any other superstar, but I would even say LeBron James is probably past superstardom, and he's a megastar. And so Anthony Davis, as long as he's playing with LeBron James, as long as LeBron James is playing at a high level, Anthony Davis or any other player can take a backseat to LeBron. He's still going to get criticized.
Yeah, and LeBron, what I loved is, so I didn't like the first shot and then the follow-up that sealed the game, but what I loved is he wanted Paul George and he wanted Kawhi Leonard on the defensive end there in the final sequences. That's what great players want to do. You want to step up, and here we are just dipping our toe back into the bubble, and LeBron's playing like it's the NBA Finals.
Look, LeBron knows the narratives that go out there. They know how people are trying to anoint Kawhi Leonard as being the best player. They know, people, trying to say Paul George might have a step on him this year. So down the stretch, like you mentioned, DP, he used those defense assignments, to his will and wanted to impose himself. And he switched on Paul George, got all up in his crouch. Same thing with Kawhi. Can I say that, crouch?
You just did. Twice. You just said that twice. So he got wait, did he get up in his crotch or his crouch, Chris?
Well, either one. It don't matter. Either one.
Okay. You can say crouch.
Okay. Well, you get the point.
Okay. So LeBron is a crotch defender.
He's a cross defender. I'll give you that. He was a cross defender down the stretch. He's not a cross defender all the time.
Okay.
But down the stretch, when it's time when it's game time, he does it. He shows that he can still play at a high level, and he did that towards the end of the game.
Can you bring that up the next time when you do a Lakers game? If they throw it to you, and you can say, LeBron's one of the top 5 crotch defenders.
Hey, I don't know if you see DP, but it was the New Orleans Pelicans home virtual crowd.
Yeah.
So I asked Alvin Gentry during the coach's interview, I'm like, can you talk about the boost your home crowd is giving you?
It was so bizarre that when I'm listening to the game and all of a sudden I'm going, Ian Eagle's talking about, well, it's a Pelicans home game, therefore the crowd noise is catered to the Pelicans. And I went, oh, my God.
And Gentry had a funny response, though. He said, it's good, Chris, because every time we come to Orlando, we have a good home crowd.
Hey, it's great to talk to you, and congrats on the sideline stuff there. And we'll check in with you again, Chris. Thank you again.
BP, take care, my guy.
Oh, crotch defender, LeBron James. I think that's new. That's a new term. How good a defender. He's one of the best crotch defenders we have in the league. That's Chris Haynes, Yahoo senior NBA insider, NBA on TNT sideline reporter, and host of Post It Up with Chris Haynes podcast. We'll take a break. We got our play of the day coming up. Paulie has a question for me that involves Kawhi Leonard.
I have a thesis, a theory on Kawhi.
Thesis?
It's short, though.
A thesis. A short. How short can a thesis be?
I can't even spell thesis.
Thesis. Reggie Thesis, who played in the NBA. We'll take a break. We're back after this on The Dan Patrick Show.
Dan, the NBA was back last night. I was ready to go. I got some barbecue. I settled in. had the pregame TNT on. I was all set, a little me time. The house was empty. Everybody was there except for somebody wasn't there, a vital, noticeable person.
Hey, way to show up, big fella. Don't try to sneak in here. He's only 7'3". Come on. There he comes, ladies and gentlemen.
Why you got to snitch me out, Charles? Charles, you were talking, making very good points.
Did you hear the NBA is back?
I knew that.
Wait, hey, Shaq. We know. I watched you the other night. Your gear is actually picked up. Your whole wardrobe. That is not what you came to wear tonight. I know that is not what you wear.
What did you just
You
came
look like a sailor who just realized that there was a dinner.
Oh, he got to wear a coat to this place. There was a very bad accident on the highway. I hope those people are safe, but that's my excuse. And the boss backs me up because the boss called me at 3:30. I was in my room chilling. I was on the road. I've been on the road since 3:30. So,
if you lose to, hey,
I love that Barkley doesn't let him just slide on in.
Yeah.
Not on my watch.
No.
That's fantastic. And
that's not the group of dudes that you want to come strolling in late because you know they're just, even Ernie's going to pounce.
It's like us. Yeah, we're going to do that. The other funny thing was, I think the show started at, 5, and they were going to go to 6:30, an hour and a half to set up the whole season. About 5:35, Charles goes, how the hell long is this show? He goes, don't we usually do an hour? And they go, like, an hour and a half. He goes, an hour and a half? He starts complaining about it on the air.
Well, he also talked about nearly falling asleep watching the first half.
This is so funny, man.
Great. Those guys are great.
What, 6'7", 170?
Be very kind here. Yeah, I could say about 170.
Did you try to put on weight?
Peanut butter and jelly sandwiches were my life. Yes. I tried. It just was my metabolism. I could eat and I could walk, and it'd be gone.
It's still amazing, though, because people don't realize the story that you were so slight and they worried about how you ran. Right? When you got drafted, weren't they worried about, that?
I had to wear braces up until I was 5 years old because my feet were, outward. So they had to wear braces to bring my feet in. And they were worried about my cadence and my gait and the way I ran. But Jack Ramsey, the Hall of Famer, God bless him, they believed in me along with Donnie Walsh. And they knew I had a skill set of being able to shoot the basketball and spread the floor. And I may have been skinny, but the good thing that they taught me at UCLA, I did so many pull-ups and push-ups. So I was wiry strong. I just wasn't like you couldn't push me and I go down. At least I held my ground. So I knew I was I wasn't huge on lifting weights, but I did tons of pull-ups and push-ups and sit-ups.
All right, let's
So
guess
my
here.
core-
Let's guess the max that Reggie could do on the bench. Okay.
Oh my God!
Fritzy,
I'll tell you.
Wait, hold on. We got to guess.
Okay.
Fritzy, Reggie Miller's max bench press.
225.
225.
Oh, no way.
Seton O'Connor.
Now we're talking about as a rookie, right? Or like at UCLA?
The most you've ever done.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Seton?
See, he feels a little better about it
Yeah,
now. He's
he
like,
does.
Oh,
Yeah.
now
Yes, now I do. Now I feel better.
Now not as
If you were
embarrassed.
saying max ever, there was a point in time.
Okay,
so
hold
go
on.
ahead.
All right, Seton.
I'll go 235.
235. Paulie?
185.
185. McLovin?
Oh, snap.
195.
Man. He's got long arms, and it's tough when you got long arms. I'd like to go 200 right on the nose there. Reggie Miller max bench press is
205.
Oh, all righty.
205. I know. I'm a weakling. I know there's a lot of NFL players that are looking at this. They're like, I do that 100 times. Yes, 205. Yeah, you're right about the long arms and bringing it all the way down. So I used to put a box on my chest so I didn't have to come all the way down and touch my chest and go all the way back up.
And Cheryl did 210, right?
No, Cheryl did 235.
Hey, may we all be built like you are in our 50s, Reg. You're in great shape, man.
The play of the day.
Runner left side, got it! Ready to play it and play it!
This is the play of the day. Check this out.
Lakers will need to shoot. Here's LeBron, leans in short, gets it back and scores! LeBron off the front of the rim, and the Lakers lead it 103-101 with 12.8 remaining.
LeBron finishes with 16 and 11. Lakers back on the court tomorrow against the defending champion Raptors. That's courtesy of the Lakers Radio Network. Play of the day brought to you by Raycon Wireless Earbuds. Buy Raycon.com/Patrick. Get 15% off these great wireless earbuds. That's buyraycon.com/Patrick. Yes, Paulie, you had a thesis, a Kawhi Leonard thesis.
Yes, I've been thinking about this the past week, and I watched Kawhi last night. Would it be fair to say, I'm going to defer to you because I consider you a basketball expert. I really do. Would it be fair to say that Kawhi Leonard is the most complete player in the NBA, offensively and defensively?
No.
But right up there? Because he's been Defensive Player of the Year a couple times.
Greek Freak is, what he does offensively, he's going to be Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah.
Kawhi is a great two-way player. I don't think he has the highs that the Greek Freak has. But he's in the conversation of best two-way players.
I've noticed the past week a lot of people talking about Kawhi Leonard, and they dabble in the line, he's the best basketball player in the world.
No, he's not.
They dabble on it, and I've heard Reggie Miller kind of talked about it. He might be the best. I heard Van Gundy last night saying he might be the best player there is. And I have the theory that no one's going to declare him the best player in the world because they don't want a star player. He has no star power to him. He has no entertainment value off the court. Almost like Tim Duncan, his lack of entertainment, his lack of engagement with the fans, you don't want to declare him the best player in the world, even if it was factually true.
No, he's boringly great.
Right, but I think that would keep people from saying the face of our league is this guy because it's always going to be LeBron. It's almost like Mike Trout. Mike Trout is clearly the best hitter in the past 7 years.
Well, he's the best player in baseball.
Right, hands down. Unfortunately, he's also the least engaged player with the media and fans.
He's boring.
Yeah, but he had to plow through that way.
Well, are you saying if Kawhi had more of an entertainment value, a social presence.
He'd be rated higher even on the court.
Yeah. It would help if he played more regular season games. What happened in San Antonio when he quit on the team. He won championships there, but he had help. He had won a championship there, but he had, a really good team there. Toronto, he did a wonderful job there, winning the championship. And if he wins a title with the Clippers, I mean, he deserves to be. People would say Kevin Durant, I think, is a better player than Kawhi Leonard when they're both healthy, because Durant has become a very good defender. And he's more of a matchup nightmare than Kawhi is. But Kawhi is, he's on the short list of great two-way players. Klay Thompson's a great two-way player as well. We don't focus in on that. We'll focus on a big man who's a good defender. But if you're a really good two-guard defender, or you play the three and you play good defense, we don't really focus in on it that much. But there's something that happened last night. It's so small, it's so subtle. But, of course, I realized what was going on here. And I'm sure, a lot of smart basketball people did. I just put myself in the smart basketball category. The closing seconds, Kawhi is not going to be able to go to his right. LeBron has taken away the right, and he's making him dribble into traffic. He's trying to make Kawhi dribble into a crowd. He wants to get help defenders, and he does the same thing with Paul George. But Kawhi has the ball, and then he gives the ball up to Paul George. There is a moment, a fraction, second there. I almost said fractionary, and I don't even know if that's a word. And McLovin's not here to correct me. There is a split second where Kawhi gives the ball to Paul George. LeBron is guarding Paul George. He looks up to see the clock. Just a split second, takes his eye off Paul George, looks up to see the clock to know Paul George has to get this shot off. Makes him go left and makes it even harder going left and then shooting right. And LeBron played very good defense on both of those players in crunch time. And the fact that he switched off, and, what happens sometimes is you're guarding a guy and then, somebody else then has to guard Paul George. And it might be a more favorable matchup. LeBron switched off Kawhi, went to Paul George, noticed the clock, noticed that he had to get the shot off, made him go left, making it tougher to go back, to shoot that, right-handed jumper, and he didn't foul him. It was a small thing, but it was, that's important defense, getting some help defense as well from his teammates. Kyle in California joins us. Hi, Kyle. What do you have for me today?
DP.
Hey, Kyle.
Loved it last night. Lakers looked fantastic. LeBron a little slow out the gate. It's going to happen. He's going to ramp up. They're all going to ramp up.
Yeah.
But the whole Kawhi thing, let's look at this objectively. Only reason they win last year, not only, but, KD doesn't get hurt, Klay doesn't get hurt. Different story. The whole 3 rings, 3 teams, it's apples and oranges between him and LeBron in that category. I'm just going to say it.
Oh, I'm there with you. Kawhi is not in LeBron's category. But if he gets to 3 different teams winning 3 titles, then he deserves to be celebrated. He just doesn't. We don't know who Kawhi Leonard is. He doesn't care that we know who he is. And I think because of that, he probably doesn't get enough credit. Tim Duncan got credit, but it took a while. John Stockton, we didn't know John Stockton. Took a while, and then we finally gave him credit. It happens that way. Jim in New Jersey. Hi, Jim. What do you have for me?
Hi, DP. Now that, I hope that you and the 3 Danettes are doing well, I have a poll question. Now that you've got Wally Pipp halfway out the door, my suggestions for the 4th Danette would be Jim Parsons, Reggie Miller, or Ethan, the Harvard grad.
All right. Well, thank you, Jim. I would say Jim Parsons, probably busy. Reggie Miller, probably busy.
Actually, isn't Jim semi-unemployed now, Parsons?
I think he's pretty busy. I think he has a lot of projects there. I think he does a lot of things. But Ethan, I don't know if I could do that to McLovin. Like, the seat's not even cold yet, okay? He's only gone for 1 day here, and he's out there risking his life on the beach in Cape Cod. looking at Sharks. But, I'll take that under advisement. Ethan maybe as a replacement for McLovin, question mark? When did you come up with that Hello Friends?
2002 PGA Championship at Hazeltine. I said it on Saturday's third round. My father was deep in the throes of his battle that he would lose in 2008 to Alzheimer's. And he had faint recognition of his son. And I told him the last thing I had said earlier in the week when I went to see him in Houston was, I'm going to say a little cryptic message to you on the air this weekend, and it's hello, friends. Because my dad had nothing but friends in his life. And I said it that Saturday when we came on the air. Now, Eli Spielman, a great friend of mine who co-authored a book that I wrote, it's been now 10 years, Always by My Side, a book about my father. He heard that on the air that day, and after the show, he called and said, I heard you say hello, friends. Where'd you come up with that? I told him it was about my dad. He said, you know what? That sounds like you. You ought to go up with that tomorrow. I mean, I think this is something you should do all the time. So I did it Sunday, and I have done it every show since. And I love it because for that little moment, I connect with my dad, and I feel like I'm talking to him. There's a whole invisible audience out there that's tens of thousands and millions strong. And Jim McKay one time told me, when you look into that lens, think of one person. And he told me that when I was just out of college, long before I worked at CBS. And I never could quite relate to that. But when Hello Friends came along, it clicked, and it became something now that it's a calming effect. Every time I come on the air, I say hello, friends, because my dad had nothing but friends. And I think of my dad, and I channel him, and off and running we go.
I feel like that might be... Oh, no, it still works.
Oh, I felt that actually a little bit.
What? It's just the kind of thing. Yeah, that had a good little slap to it.
I might get a little markup from that. A little shot. They look all soft and nerfy, but they can take you down a little bit.
Dang, I was hoping to get one of them coming down the hallway.
Let's see if I can get. Hey, Brendan! Oh, you just set me up. I totally walked out. How dumb am I? I was like, I'll get somebody. I just got like a dart gun bruise from these pellet things.
It's already bruised?
I got a little. Is that not? I got a little.
Did Seton hit you?
Yeah, hit me. Right there.
Dang!
What? See that? Look at that right there.
What is?
I like this cup.
Right there.
Do you think? Whoa!
What's he doing?
I will do something about it.
Don't look at me. I was gonna go get somebody for him to shoot.
You're twice the size of it.
He shot me in the back. I said I'll get somebody that you can shoot around the bed. And he shot me like 5 times with it.
Well, do something about it.
They're not as soft as you think. It's a funny.
But you are.
The one that got him in the back.
What if it just hung in his midsection and then fell to the ground?
You got me in my rib cage, my back.
Because until Todd came in, it was going to be how many times can I shoot Weeks before he puts the camera down?
You could. Oh, there's an opening there with Weeks.
Yeah. Go low.
Oh
no.
Wow.
He said fired. He's fired upon.
Like, this is not very funny, is it?
I knew that was coming. I saw that one.
I like this cup.
I didn't see the other 5 coming.
This is easily one of the best things we've gotten in studio.
Go ahead. Oh man, the kidney.
What? Buckle up, boys. Time to go to work.
Dan Patrick.
Welcome to the Dan Patrick Show.
If you don't know the facts, then you gotta shut.
This didn't impact the game.
What do you mean by that?
I didn't say it didn't impact the game.
Sign stealing is a distinct advantage for the hitter.
I think absolutely not. I don't think it taints it.
So then what are you guys apologizing for?
Absolutely nothing.
When are we going to be over this? When they get the punishment they deserve.
Bill Shaken covers the Dodgers for the LA Times, covers baseball for the LA Times, and he's kind enough to join us. It feels like the commissioner is still protecting the Astros.
Clearly, when Rob Manfred was telling the public, go ahead and shame the Astros, that'll be their punishment, he was telling teams even back then, I do not want a festival of retaliation. Whatever feelings you have about the Houston Astros, please do not express them with 95-mile-an-hour baseball.
Broadcasting from the Mercedes Man Cave, this is Dan Patrick.
Somehow, we're going to try to make it through this show, minus McLovin, who started his weekend early. He's on the shores of Cape Cod. It's Shark Week for McLovin. He once again. Now, he saw a great white shark a while ago, and he says that that's now his MO, or that's on brand for him. He's our shark guy. So McLovin is on vacation with his family, but he will be back on Monday. Coming up, we'll talk to Matt Ryan of the Atlanta Falcons. A couple things to talk to him about. And Pat Forde covers college sports for Sports Illustrated. You've had some news here with the ACC and the SEC. We're waiting for Pac-12, Big 12, Big 10 to decide what they're going to do. And I'll go back to, I guess it was in April when I was telling you, the audience, that these conferences are going to do just conference games. There's not going to be out-of-conference games from what I was told. And I think you're seeing most of these conferences following suit with that. But we'll talk to Pat Forde about that. And maybe the SEC was holding out of having a non-conference game. I'm curious if you're still going to have Georgia, Georgia Tech, Florida, Florida State. Those are the games that I'm curious about. Clemson, South Carolina. So we'll talk to Pat Forde. He'll join us coming up a little bit. NBA debut last night. Jazz beat the Pelicans. Lakers beating the Clippers. Tonight, 6 NBA games, 13 baseball games, 10 NHL games coming up this weekend. It's been a long time since we've said the following. I don't know how I'm going to fit in all of these games because that's what's happening this weekend. Over 60 games, baseball, basketball, in the NHL. And usually late July is really quiet. You usually just have baseball because hockey's over, the NBA is over. Preseason football is a week later, but we got a lot of action coming up this weekend. Watching the Lakers and the Clippers last night, it wasn't great basketball. I'm not expecting great basketball. Utah against the Pelicans was not great basketball. You had great endings, and you had the Zion Williamson curiosity of he wanted to play more minutes, but the Pelicans didn't want him to play more minutes. Have more on that coming up. But LeBron James didn't start out well, but it ended well for LeBron and the Lakers. He scored 13 of the Lakers' 27 fourth-quarter points, played great defense on Paul George in the waning seconds, actually guarded Kawhi, then Paul George, and Paul George had the ball in the air to win the game. But the Lakers pick up the victory, and there was a certain feel to that game. It wasn't just hey, let's kind of get readjusted to real game-like situations or that feeling that you have there. That had playoff basketball, an atmosphere to it. As for Zion Williamson, it was a game-time decision. He played the first 5 minutes of the fourth quarter but didn't come back. He was subbed out with 7:19 to go in regulation. And then the Pelicans coach, Alvin Gentry, told the reporters that Zion was on a minutes restriction. Okay. Why is he on a minutes restriction? Because Williamson said he wanted to play. But if you know that Zion can't play more than 15 minutes, which he did last night, how about you use those minutes later in the game if you happen to need him? I don't need him in the first quarter. I could have used him in the fourth quarter. Because every one of these games matters for the Pelicans. If they truly matter to the Pelicans. I would have, if you have a minutes restriction, don't I want my best player at the end of the game? He's riding the bike. When he's not in, he's riding the bike. But what is Zion Williamson's status now? Zion said he hasn't suffered any recent medical setbacks, and he denied he had to sit because of conditioning issues. They got to get their story right here. Zion said, this is the NBA. These are the best players. You want to feel comfortable. I don't want to hurt my team more than I help them in a sense. But if there's any risk of him getting hurt seriously, then why is he playing? If the Pelicans decided not to play him, I'm fine with that. But if you're going to have him go out and play 3 or 4 minutes each quarter, I'm more concerned about that than I am if he played 25 minutes. Because I can tell this, I tell you this from experience, when you get into a game and you know you're not going to stay in the game that long, you try to go crazy. You try to do everything possible. You're playing great defense. You want the ball. You're going to the hoop. You'll take a charge. You're playing in short burst, and that is really dangerous in my opinion. But are you going to play him or not? Now what happens the next game? Is he on a minutes restriction? You have to win these games. Do you want to win those games? That would be my question. Because you got the Clippers coming up next. And at what point do the Pelicans shut down Zion Williamson? Let's say they lose their first 3. Do you shut down Zion Williamson? I like the experience. They're in kind of a playoff basketball situation, and it's a young team, and I love the future of the team. All in on the Pels. Absolutely. They need a little bit more depth. You're not going to have Redick around much longer. By the way, he's made the playoffs every single year of his career. And is Redick in better shape than Zion Williamson? So J.J. Redick at 36 is in better shape than Zion Williamson. And I know Zion, he took the time off with the medical emergency with his family. He was quarantined for 4 days. But why am I having him out there? To do these little cameos. If you don't want to, if you worry about the risk of injury, then don't play him. But they lost last night to the Utah Jazz. And there was a moment where I thought Utah was in serious trouble in that game. But, man, do I love what I'm seeing with Lonzo Ball and Brandon Ingram. Talk about watching them. A great weight was lifted off your shoulders. Players want to go to Los Angeles and play for the Lakers. And I go back to what Reggie Miller said. Brandon Ingram and Lonzo Ball will do better outside of Los Angeles. And Brandon Ingram has grown into a great basketball player. But he's made himself. He's improved. A lot of guys get to the league and then they don't improve. And it's small things that you improve upon. He's added a little bit more weight. He's added more range. He's only 22. And if he can model his game after Kevin Durant, that size, that length, he's a smooth player. I don't know if, he's got a killer instinct to him, but he's improved his free throw shooting. He's become a legitimate three-point shooter. Lonzo Ball looks like he got away from his dad, got away from, the Lakers, that heavy cloud that hangs over you when you're young. And it was not a great environment for those younger players. And, for him to get out of that, get away from LeBron, let LeBron try to win his title, and then they can kind of exhale. And it feels like they're playing fun basketball. And then you add Zion to the equation here. They're not far off with that nucleus there. There's a couple other things they need to add, but J.J. Redick, he's playing. He was playing great. So that was fun. Fun to watch that last night. Here is LeBron James. He had the game-winning shot and the game-winning stop, and he talked about that last night.
I love having the ball in my hands, late in the game, tie game, being down, being up. We had a 3-point game with like 40 seconds to go. We got a great look for Danny. He missed it. Paul George came back and hit a 3 to tie the game. And for me, just try to, be aggressive. I feel like I got some contact at the elbow, by Marcus Morris. They didn't call it, but, like you was told when you was a kid, just to start playing basketball, if there's no whistle, you keep playing on. So I was able to follow my shot and, put us up for good.
Here is Frank Vogel, the Lakers head coach, talking about LeBron's final sequence.
That possession right there, we didn't want to call a timeout and give them the ability to sub. So, he's been great in that situation, targeting the defender that he wants to go at. Got to the paint, got a good look, and, like you said, just followed his shot. A great competitive spirit play. And, his defense on the last possession obviously helped secure the game, but all throughout, he was terrific on the ball, and as always, just a quarterback of our defense with his voice calling out coverages.
Yeah, it was a great defensive segment for him because you got Kawhi, and then you switch off to Paul George. The presence of mind to notice how much time was left on the clock, forcing Paul George into help, forcing him to his left, and then the contested jumper. Here's Doc Rivers talking about the mistakes that were made by the Clippers.
We were shorthanded and we made too many mistakes. It's a good lesson for your team. You can't make as many mistakes as we made in one game and be shorthanded. When you don't have guys, you have to execute. We didn't execute many plays tonight offensively. We had 20 turnovers. We gave up offensive rebounds. We lost guys in coverage defensively. So in that way, it was disappointing. The positives are that we had every opportunity to still win the game. And that would have been a sweet win for us with what our guys have gone through.
And I started to wonder about this last night. The Lakers, I think, pride, ego, they want to be the number one seed, but there's really no home court advantage. My question would be, do you want to be the number 2 seed instead of the number 1 seed? Because everybody, it feels like, is fearful of the Portland Trailblazers. If the Blazers are that 8th seed that gets in, do you want to face them in the first round? Would the Lakers rather face Dallas, Utah, than the Portland Trailblazers? Yeah, I get the feeling that LeBron's going to keep the pedal to the metal there and, hey, let's just keep winning. Because they were playing great basketball before everything shut down. They had beaten the Clippers. They had beaten the Bucks. I think back-to-back games, they were playing great. And you got to get that restarted here. And it's not one of those where you can go, we just flip a switch. They're still getting to know one another on that team. Now you have different rotations. With Avery Bradley and Rajon Rondo not playing, now it's different there. And the Clippers will be formidable. We know that. When they get everybody back and healthy, that's as deep a roster as you'll find in the NBA playoffs. Alex in North Dakota joins us. Hi, Alex. What do you have for me today?
Hey, 6'2", 225. I just wanted to say you're talking about J.J. Redick. I just think he's a super underappreciated player in the league. I mean, he's been super consistent. He's been very healthy, and I mean, if you see it or watched in the last couple of games, he comes off the ball extremely well. The threes that he's shooting, he's fading away and everything. I still think he's super valuable asset, and especially a big veteran that's been in the playoffs every single year.
Yeah, I just don't know how long he's going to play, but thank you, Alex. No, Redick he's a great player. He's a player that every team would love to have because he's an unbelievable shooter. And, free throw shooting as well. He's one of the greats of all time. And he's got that ability. He understands the game. Played on the big stage at Duke. Pro career started out slow, but he's a great knockdown three-point shooter. He's a 45% three-point shooter. And to have that where you can space the floor and then kick it out to J.J. Redick, that's the value that you have with him. Yeah, Paul.
Redick's 36. He had his best year of his career last year. At age 35, he averaged 18 points a game. He has never made an all-star team.
He's not going to either.
He kind of reminds me of Jamal Crawford's career. Remember out of Michigan?
Yeah.
Where he started kind of slow, but he's always been a very good scorer and a very tough player, but he bounces around a little bit.
Jamal Crawford, I think, was 6th man of the year a couple of times. Just got this word. Brewers-Cardinals game postponed tonight due to positive test. At least one Phillies, Blue Jays, Marlins, Nationals, Cardinals, Brewers are not playing today because of COVID-19. So that means 20% of the league is not going to be playing due to COVID-19. All right. Well, baseball finally came out. Remember I told you, I'm hearing that this was brought up. I don't know if it was a text or a conference call. What about 7-inning games for a doubleheader? I didn't know it was going to happen. Next thing I know, yesterday, baseball's agreed to have doubleheaders and they're 7 innings each. And I went, why aren't we thinking about this prior to all of this? Hey, what happens if a team has somebody test positive? What happens if we have to postpone or cancel some games? We got to make those games up. And how are we going to do that? We've already started our extra inning games in the 10th inning with a runner at second base. You already have pitching staffs that are getting depleted with injuries here. How about we just throw out some more ideas?
Corked bats?
Well, I like home run derby to settle extra innings. You get one player, it gets 10 pitches, and most home runs, and then you win.
It's like PKs.
Yeah, penalty kicks here. I feel like the commissioner's listening to the show, and I'm worried if I throw out something that's a little too goofy, they might pick it up. How about free beer to everybody next season? Yes, Todd.
If these things keep popping up, and it sounds like it is, can they shorten the season any further, or they'll never get on the same page, the Players Association and MLB, about we got to move this along. We can't reschedule these games. We're running out of time. Do we play a 40-game season, 50-game season? What do you do?
I don't know. I don't know what the hell's going on, and I don't think baseball knows what the hell is going on, because this is now going to come down to winning percentage. The Marlins aren't going to play 60 games. I'm guessing most teams, maybe a handful of teams get to 60 games. But all baseball wants, this is all a charade. It's all a show. It's 60 games. Let's get to the playoffs. Let's have 16 teams in the playoffs. Let's make some money. Can we limp to October? That's what we want.
Those are the T-shirts and the promos, limping to October.
Yeah. Have baseball players looking like the fife and drum bugle corps, but with mask on. Limping to October. Just get us to October. Just get us to the money. That's what we want. Hold on for dear life. Limping to October. Oh, man.
Can you imagine? Wouldn't you love to have a live camera on Rob Manfred, Commissioner Manfred, this week? Every day there's his email inbox, the ding. He's just like, no. Shut it down.
I know.
No calls.
Are the Marlins when did the Marlins play again? I think next Tuesday is the earliest that they can play. And I guess half the team is now tested positive. Over half of the team is tested positive.
It shows lack of team unity.
Yeah. Yeah. What about those other guys? You call yourself Marlins?
Locker room split? Question mark.
Not a true Marlin.
Clubhouse.
Phone calls are welcome. 877-3DP Show. Email address dp@danpatrick.com. Twitter handle at DP Show. What's the poll question? McLovin is not here today, so Seton has to do those honors.
Yeah. This poll question, by the way, it's been a real doozy all day, Dan.
Yeah?
Yeah.
As you're searching for it?
If you were 22, which team would you rather play for? It's been split right down the middle, 50-50 all morning.
So would you rather play for the Lakers or the Pelicans?
Yeah.
Who would go Lakers here? Todd, why?
Sensitive as I am about getting yelled at by LeBron, because learning from him and being able to have the experience of playing with LeBron James and the experience of dealing with the media in a big market and all that at a young age, you would think it can only be easier as opposed to more fun right away. I understand that argument with the Pelicans, but I want to say I played with LeBron.
Paulie,
Todd's real reason is he can move back to Playa del Rey and be next door to Szechuan Palace.
That's kind of nice, too.
Boot Barn, San Bernardino.
Yeah.
Get some boots. You got a nice chicken and broccoli and lo mein thing right down the hill there by the
you
by the
could
beach.
You could not take the heat.
I probably couldn't.
The media, you couldn't do it.
But on paper, it sounds like the better
I know,
option.
but you don't.
If I wasn't me, if I was
you don't
someone
play
else
on
that
paper.
had a tougher shell, L.A. and playing with LeBron, that seems like the thing to sign up for. And a chance to win a ring
Yes,
early.
Seton.
Man, but there's something about, aside from playing with, say, like Zion and a bunch of younger dudes, right, that play a pretty exciting brand of basketball, you don't have all of these ghosts around you all the time reminding you to make sure that you're great. You know? Dang, that pressure is just...
Kobe Bryant got criticized on a daily basis. He's one of the greatest basketball players ever, and he took criticism. LeBron, like for me, it's easy. I don't like traffic, and I love Cajun food. I don't even care if they play me. I would play for the Pelicans.
We'll take a break here. Pat Forde, who covers college sports for Sports Illustrated, the SEC set an all-conference game schedule starting September 26th. I'm wondering if it's smarter to start the season sooner and then build in a couple of bye weeks there, just in case. That's what Oklahoma was trying to do. But we'll talk to Pat Forde about this, with the other leagues, and kind of hit the reset button on college football here. What exactly is happening, and what does he expect to happen here in over the next month? So we'll talk to Pat, and Matt Ryan will join us coming up in the final hour of the show. 21 after the hour, this is the Dan Patrick Show. Simply Safe Home Security, they've been a partner of ours for over a decade. And what I love about Simply Safe is it's all in the name. It's simple, but it's safe. And there's no contract to sign. There's no hidden fees in there. No technician required. And it's about $15 a month. Now, I've been telling you about Simply Safe for years now. U.S. News and World Report named it, quote, the best overall home security of 2020. You get everything else that these other home securities have, but you install it. You can blanket every room and window and door. It's tailored specifically for you. And professional monitoring day and night, 24/7. They can send police, fire, medical professionals in an emergency. Once again, you order it, comes to your home. There's nobody, no middleman, no technician, and you set it up. Less than 30 minutes. Try Simply Safe today at simplysafedan.com. Free shipping, 60-day risk-free trial. Nothing to lose. That's simplysafedan.com. You did Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Yeah.
Is there any script?
No, there's no script. Larry David sends out a little breakdown of the scenes that you're in, and he'll say, in this scene, you're going to talk about your love of truffles and that something else, whatever responsibility you have as far as information getting revealed. And then he says what he's going to reveal, and this was the inequality of my chairs in my therapist office or something, and which was the first episode I did, and then from then on it's just make it up, and somehow get to that point where you get. Now I had the great good fortune of being in comedy boot camp, being on Seinfeld for a few years. And watching Larry David craft a joke like a surgeon, and Jerry and he working together, talking in a language you can't really understand unless you're on the inside. And I was able to be watching that tennis match between them and going, oh my God, the timing and care, it's like a souffle. It's that delicate. You could crush a joke or you can lift it just by the way it's delivered or the timing.
And I think that's the key and comedians talk about this. And Seinfeld, we had him, when did we have him
New
on?
York Super Bowl about 5 years ago.
And so we did something. We did a pre-recorded bit, and we had him assess it. And he did it in brutal terms. He would say, you need to be faster, you need to be louder, take the air out here, and you should have ended it this way. but he broke it down in real time where he's watching it.
Yes.
And, to have somebody, a professional ear listening for things.
Right.
They don't necessarily, it's not what they see is what they hear and how the cadence of it and everything. And that's what's amazing. And you're right. That's a fast learning curve if you're around those two.
Yeah, it is. And it's a lot to take in because Jerry probably had the 10,000 hours to become proficient and expert in that field. And he knows from one night to another, he go, I rushed that bit too fast. I'm going to pull back on that just a touch. And
Good morning. Happy Friday, everybody. Happy Meat Friday, everybody. I'm Mario, and I'm trying my best. Last night on Twitter, I posed what was your biggest takeaway from the NBA restart, so I got some responses from that. We'll start off with former Jets All-Pro safety, Kerry Rhodes, responded to us. He said, "It was amazing. The players competed, and overall, it felt like an NBA game, not some glorified money grab. Win for the NBA and all of us sports lovers." I agree with you, Kerry Rhodes. Big Kerry Rhodes fan. I remember him back in the day. Next up, Bruin Bill, 83. Yeah, Lakers. Hoping Clippers fall to first-round matchup with the Rockets. Go Lake Show. AD is awesome. AD had a great game. Led all scores, 34 points, 8 rebounds. Next up, we had Chad Whitman. Ernie and the crew on NBA on TNT haven't missed a beat. The games were good, too. They're always great. That interview they did with Kevin Hart after the game was hilarious. Then we got Gary Payton's Crooked Smile. That's his name on Twitter. Not bad, but adding in the and one or Rucker Park hype man would be nice. That'd be funny. Hot sizzle. Remember that? Professor, hot sauce. And the final one, Jeffrey Blake. So happy to have it back. It plays better on TV than baseball. Felt blessed to be able to click between my Dodgers and Lakers. It could be a really good...
It was Geddy Lee's birthday a couple of days ago. Badass bass player for Rush. We sent out our birthday greetings to Geddy Lee, and one Geddy Lee responded to Paulie Pabst, a huge Rush fan. Pretty exciting for Paulie yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, I put a nice picture that there's a picture of Geddy Lee, and I posted something, pithy little joke, and the entire Rush the Band Twitter feed retweeted it and sent me a note. I was like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
It was
And then Geddy Lee reached out as well.
I got to tell you, Dan, I don't get choked up that much. I was bored. If you would have saw me the other day, I'm not kidding. That was very, very cool.
I know Paulie didn't cry at his wedding or when his 2 daughters were born, but he's on the verge of tears as Geddy Lee retweets something that Paulie sent with his birthday greeting.
If the guys from Rush walked in here, I think I would probably, I wouldn't make it.
Yes, he.
I like to imagine sort of being on the other side of that. Like, say you're Geddy Lee and it's your birthday, and then you're just scrolling through the Rush Twitter feed and you see, like, wow, look what this guy said about me. How awesome is that? Like, yeah, it's the second that I took from kicking ass.
Tiffany in Los Angeles. Then we'll talk to Pat Forde from Sports Illustrated. Good morning, Tiffany.
Good morning.
Good morning.
First-time caller, long-time listener. And I heard you guys just say that Paul used to go to Szechuan Palace all the time. I've lived in L.A. my whole life and grew up going there. It just closed due to coronavirus, and we were very sad to see it go. So if he had any other Chinese places he liked in L.A., I'd love his advice.
All right. Well, thank you, Tiffany. It was Fritzy who, Szechuan Palace.
That was my place right down the hill in Playa del Rey.
And when we would go to Los Angeles... And, we would drive by there. It felt like a couple of times during the week when we would stay out there. And Todd would always say the same thing. Szechuan Palace. I'd always go there.
I'd order from there so much that at the end of the order, if I forgot something, they would immediately say, no dumplings this time? How embarrassing is that? That you're going that much that they know exactly what your order is and they know if you left out the lo mein or something. That was pretty good.
Pat Forde covers college football and college athletics for Sports Illustrated, and he's joining us on the program here. Where do you want to start with this, Pat? Because it feels like you're always the bearer of bad news. So do you have any good news for college football fans?
Let's see. The Pac-12 will announce a schedule today.
as has obviously the ACC and SEC have announced scheduling models. So we're going to at least schedule games. I'm not saying we're going to play them, Dan, but we are going to schedule them.
Okay,
and I guess
but
that gives people something to talk about.
What's the Pac-12 schedule going to be?
It'll be 10 games. It'll be conference only. They're adding one league game per team so that everybody's playing an even 5 home, 5 road. I'm not sure start dates yet, but that's been a really interesting thing. And I heard you allude to it before the break there about where some conferences are looking like, hey, let's go early. Others are like, no, let's push it back and go late. That's to the point that I don't think anybody knows what's the right thing to do here.
And I don't think we're going to have a bowl season. I'm starting to look at the time frame if you're going to play. Like the SEC conference title game is what, December 19th here? Do you think we're going to have a bowl season?
I think if we have a season, we'll have bowl games. Yeah, if they can get to the end of the season, I think we will. They'll push them back. They'll schedule them wherever and whenever. As you know, the worldwide leader will find places to put bowl games. It's funny, yeah, because December 19th, normally that would be the weekend when they would start with like 5 bowl games. Now that's going to probably be a conference championship weekend. They'll stash the Camellia Bowl on mid-January if they need to, if they think it'll work.
You mentioned that the ACC had a preemptive strike where they were not going to be the bad guy in these rivalry games that they have with the SEC at the end of the season, where it's Florida, Florida State, it's Clemson, South Carolina, Georgia Tech, Georgia. So explain what the ACC did and then what the SEC then tried to counter.
Yeah, it was a lovely bit of skullduggery, and this just goes to show these Power 5 programs that I think we use the analogy, the 5 crime families. That's what they are. They kind of get along, but when it comes down to rubber hitting road, they're all in it for themselves. So at 3:30 on Wednesday, word starts getting out that the SEC, has finalized its schedule that they only want to play conference games. At about 4:20, the ACC suddenly puts out a blast to its members. We are releasing our schedule. They weren't going to do it that day. They had agreed on it earlier in the day, but they were not going to release it. But they wanted to get it out ahead of the SEC news and then make it and portray the schedule and show, hey, we have this open date for a non-conference game played in our home state, which obviously is for those games, to accommodate those games. They wanted to put that out there and paint the SEC into the corner as the ones that are saying, no, we're not going to play Florida, Florida State. We're not going to play Georgia, Georgia Tech. Clemson, South Carolina, it's played every year since 1913. No, we're not going to do it. Louisville, Kentucky, etc. So it was quite a deft little maneuver by the ACC.
Notre Dame and the ACC, is this a temporary relationship?
I think it is. I'm sure the ACC will continue to leave the porch light on for that wandering bachelor that is Notre Dame. They're going to get them. They're going to share towels. They're going to share dishes, and they're going to share a bank account for 1 year. But I think it will not last beyond that. I think that Notre Dame so cherishes its independence, its ability to schedule nationally and recruit nationally, that it will say, thank you very much, but now we are going back to our bachelor pad.
I'm getting more concerned about the Big Ten if the Big Ten has football. What do you think?
Yeah, legitimate concern. I mean, they put out a memo to the league members yesterday, and the first paragraph says, we're still not sure we're going to play. That's the baseline starting point right there. They said, if protocols are in place and things are going well, next week we will probably go ahead and green light starting camp. That's if. And then after that, we'll see how it goes, and we'll maybe release a schedule next week. It could leak out earlier, but I would think that will be next week as well. They've been very cautious about this going forward. I mean, you look at Rutgers and the situation they're in New Jersey, not even sure whether people can travel into or out of the state to play them. There's travel restrictions in Ohio. There's travel restrictions in Pennsylvania. There's problems all over the place that I think they are certainly more wary of or willing to acknowledge than the other conferences are.
What did you think of my idea of maybe moving the season up and then having the ability to have bye weeks where you could almost hit a reset button for these colleges, these students?
Yeah, I mean, there's two competing schools of thought. There's that which the Big 12 looks like they're going to do. I mean, they're pushing up games to August 29th. Versus the SEC going to September 26th. And the SEC's reasoning is, we're going to bring everybody back to campus in mid-August, all the students, and the virus is just going to blow up, and we're going to have to shut things down for a couple weeks. So let's delay our start. But if you delay your start, you also push further into flu season, traditional flu season, and what people think will be traditional COVID season eventually. So I would think, really, if you feel like you can start early, and then you just hang on through whatever's going to happen.
I agree with you when it comes to, all the Power 5 conferences. It felt like, hey, we're in it together. Let's try to figure this out. Like, what are you guys doing? And what are you guys doing? All of a sudden, the ACC, it's that game. I don't know if it was World of Warcraft or when Leroy Jenkins, where the guy is talking about, they have strategy. And all of a sudden, the guy yells out, Leroy Jenkins, like he's going all in to ruin their strategy. That's what it felt like. The ACC was like, Leroy Jenkins. We're going all in.
Oh, yeah. It's like, my name's called, I'm going. No, truly, that's, the Big Ten's the one that shanked everybody to begin with when all 5 of them were in it together. They're like, we're just going to announce our schedule. We're not even going to tell anybody else. Then the Pac-12's like, I guess we better too. And then the other 3 were all, no, we're in it together. And then the ACC pulls the stunt with the SEC. So everybody's mad at everybody. Nobody trusts anybody. It's college sports.
If you had to bet a week's pay, will the Big Ten play football this fall?
I'm going to say yes. I'm not sure everybody will, but I think that the intention is there, and I think that they will start.
What do you mean everybody? Every school in the Big Ten?
Right. I'm not, again, like Rutgers, let's wait and see what happens there. Now, they've gotten their testing numbers under control, but again, travel situation there is going to be difficult. I think there are people within the Big Ten that would like to play in the spring. And they may say, we can't play now. But I think the majority will want to play in the fall and will try to play in the fall.
My problem with the springtime football is you're going to be playing 2 football seasons in a span of 9 months. And you're going to have some marquee players who are just going to say, nah, I'm not going to do it that close to the combine and that close to the draft. And I just can't see how you're going to cram that in, and then, 5 or 6 months later, you're going to start the season again, a new season.
Yeah, remember way back a long time ago when concussions were an issue, when people were worried about that. And you're going to try to play a schedule in the spring, and then turn around and get everybody through that, and then back into contact again a couple of months maybe later, and have another season. I agree that that's problematic, and yeah, players opting out. We're going to see some already. We saw the Virginia Tech cornerback opt out, and I think we're going to see more of that. You push it to the spring, I think you will see dozens and dozens of players opt out.
I think your next column, you got to lead with something positive. Do your best, and I'm not talking about positive test. I'm talking about something positive, Pat, okay?
I'll do my best. I'll see what I can come up with. I've been encouraged to be more positive and less realistic by many people.
Oh, I get that every day on the show. Yeah, stop being realistic. Be positive. I'm like, okay. Great to talk to you. Thanks again, Pat.
Thank you.
That's Pat Forde, Sports Illustrated senior writer. I don't know where I got Leroy Jenkins from.
That was a pull of the week by you.
Unbelievable reference.
Because it felt like that's what the ACC did.
That's old school.
Because I love that build-up. Is that World of Warcraft or?
I think so.
Okay. But I just loved hearing that. Because I don't play those video games. My son plays World of Warcraft or some combat or something. And he said, I know you don't like these video games, but you got to listen to this. And all of a sudden I listened to that and I said, now that is awesome, because you got these guys that are really serious and they're talking about this and they got their strategy.
Okay, you're going to take the left quadrant, get your blasters on stun. We'll probably need some type of cloaking device to get past the guards. And Tommy, you go ahead and take the right side.
And then all of a sudden, this guy goes rogue. And he... And then all of a sudden you hear these guys going, what's he doing?
Oh, God damn it, Leroy. The best. I would play the whole thing, but I don't know that we have it censored. I think that there's curses in there.
Oh.
I think. If I remember correctly. I don't want to wing it either.
No. We shouldn't do that. Yes, Paulie, what's the problem?
Dan, the I-team just heard from Andrew McLovin Perloff, who's on the coast of Cape Cod.
Well, should we wait? Should I take a break here?
I'm trying to book him and do my best.
Wait, I don't want McLovin on the show.
Well, the problem solved. I don't have to.
What? Well, what is he? He wants to come on the show because
He didn't offer. I wanted a shark report.
Yeah, but I could just have Ethan on and have Ethan give us a couple of stats.
Ethan would say the likelihood of getting a shark sighting 2 times in a row is 2.259.
He just did stat guy voice. Classic stat guy voice.
Is that how you think Ethan sounds?
Yes.
That could double as IT guy voice as well.
Because we've never met Ethan. We don't even know what Ethan looks like, but we have this image in our mind.
You have to give it a character, you know? Ethan probably just speaks like everybody else does. Oh, yeah, it's, statistically speaking.
Yes. Yes. The Marlins are going to sit out at least 8 days, and they won't play until next Tuesday at the earliest. That's the earliest that they can play. Okay. All right. I'll talk to you later.
All right, we'll take a break here. And, Ethan just sent me a stat. Maybe Ethan. We'll take a break. Back after this. Well, you always talk about best and worst bodies, and you've played with a few of those guys. What about better bodies? Because you talked about Schilling had a bad body, right?
Yeah. Schilling did not look. It was not easy on the eyes in the shower, Dan. We've talked about many times in the show. As far as good bodies, Gabe Kapler is a wonderful body in the shower, who's now the head of the Dodgers minor league farm system. So he was a wonderful man in the shower. Let me go down team to team. How about that? We'll start with the Florida Marlins back in the day. Derek Lee. 6'5", gorgeous man in the shower. First baseman, high ceiling, 21-year-old. We traded for Kevin Brown. I was the Crash Davis that played behind him. We'll move on to the Boston Red Sox. We went with Gabe Kapler. We'll stay there. Baltimore Orioles, tough one here, but I'm going to have to go with Jay Gibbons and Brian Roberts.
Okay.
Both of those young men had the obliques. Jay Gibbons with the big arms. Brian Roberts stopped growing when he was in 5th grade, but good-looking young man in the shower. Toronto Blue Jays. This is a tough one. If I was to say something off the top of my head, Scotty Rowland, a young man out of Bloomington, Indiana. I would say 6'4".
Country strong. Yeah, country strong.
Country strong, ran Tommy Amansky type home run trot around the bases. No showboating whatsoever, but he was very strong and very, very nice quads. He had like the Trevor Hoffman quads in the shower.
Now, these are all the teams you played for, right?
That would be it.
Yeah.
Yes, 4 of them.
Only
I got
4.
Released by the Cubs. But if we can go to the Cubs, if you want to go to the Cubs for spring training, I did shower with 6 weeks worth of guys there at the Cubs. And I would have to move Ramos Ramirez. No, Derek Lee was on that team. We'll go with somebody else other than Derek. Let me just take a quick jaunder around. Ryan Dempster's not too shabby for a Canadian kid that took a ferry to play catch back in the day and got drafted 2nd round with the Texas Rangers. So I'll go with Ryan Dempster, who's once again nice quads.
All right. Well, there you go. All right, Kevin. Well, thanks for joining us. That's all we wanted to talk about.
Hey, real quick, Danny, how are you, honest to God, if you and I were teammates and I was doing a radio show about Dan Patrick in the shower, are you average, below average, or above average?
I've been called a 5-tool player.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're going on the record saying you're above average then?
Yeah, they call me the Swiss Army knife.
I didn't have a toolbox, so that was me.
So, Dan, you remember...
what's going on over here?
You remember the warm-up that Dak Prescott did a couple years ago with that little hip twist?
Yeah.
A lot of people try to do this. It's like a stretching technique pregame. I tried to do this once, and there's no chance. I found a new one I think we could all try. This is Anthony Davis just before the Lakers game last night. He has a new little shimmy to get loose right before he starts. I noticed this last night. All right, ready, and 2, and 3, and 4. There you go. Just a quickie. Seton.
There you go. And 1, and 2, and 3, and 4.
He kind of goes,
yeah.
1, 2,
yeah.
And that did it? Now he's loose?
Yeah. Now I'm ready. To go.
If he didn't do it, then he might not have been ready?
Right, it's just is this, Dan? You want to go this? The foot up and this.
I think you need a little more pop to it, though.
Oh,
I really want to. Yeah, I think you really want to. We really want to go for it. Yeah, he's kind of got like a.
There you go. Jazz hands.
Yeah, a little more handy.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Well, that way you get upper and lower body in.
Dan, you're not allowed to do this.
I can't do it.
Todd?
You sure?
No.
You sure? Don't you want to get ready for the next segment? You gotta get loose?
Something could fall off with me. Like a leg could fall off. And Todd cannot do it.
He's all over the
Todd is not allowed to do that.
What?
Want to try it, Todd? We all tried Anthony Davis.
What were you doing out there?
I went to the restroom and I checked my messages, which I often do in the restroom.
Oh boy.
I like to multitask like that.
Todd, I could be dying in the desert and I wouldn't borrow your phone.
Go. Come on. Come here. Let's go. I got to go back on the air. Come on. Come on. Let's get a cookie. Get a cookie. Come on. Sit. Hi, gorgeous. Okay, see you later. That's it. Once again, to reiterate what Pat Forde was alluding to when we had him on, some Big Ten intel via multiple sources. The Big Ten has advised members it still might not play this fall. Decision on whether to start camp on time will be made in the next 5 days, but with testing protocols in place, that is the expectation. Schedule release is to be determined. Boy. Maybe. And I don't know what will happen in 5 days. That is going to give you a little bit more clarity here. The smaller story to keep an eye on is the smaller schools, smaller conferences are probably going to opt for spring football. Now, they could do it under the veil of safety, but they could also be looking at this as the opportunity to spring football, get a TV deal. Might not be about money as much as it is exposure for some of these smaller schools. You know, the Ivy League is looking to do that. Football's not a big revenue-producing sport for the Ivy League, but you're going to get exposure. That's why when you look at the MAC would play on Tuesday night. The MAC would play, Monday morning. But you want exposure. And it did work. MACtion turned out to be a great promotional vehicle for that conference. And that's what everybody's looking for real estate. But if you're going to be in the spring, Super Bowl's ended, and you have college football, even if it's Ivy League, before you go, nobody's watching Princeton and Dartmouth. Oh, think again. Because you will, as opposed to no football. Remember the XFL? Oh, people are going to watch it. Okay, you watched it. It wasn't very good, but you watched it. I'd rather watch the Ivy League or some of these other smaller conferences. Maybe they get a chance on the bigger stage. But that's something to keep an eye on. Smaller schools, smaller conferences. Everybody is looking for what makes the most sense for us. You want your student athletes to be protected, but you also want to strategize. Instead of losing the season, we can postpone the season and move it to the springtime. And I think you're going to see more and more schools that try to do that. Phil in Indiana. Hey, Phil, what do you have for me?
Hey, Dan, it's always a great pleasure to talk to you. I wanted to get your thoughts. There's been so much success health-wise with the NBA bubble. Why couldn't Major League League Baseball, Dan, have gone to 4 regional sites and do a similar bubble, I think it would have avoided some of the Florida Marlins things that are going on now. As always, Dan, I appreciate it. You're a great man. Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, Phil. I know they considered it, and then we wondered, can you do Arizona and Florida? Now, that doesn't mean you wouldn't have an outbreak in either one of those cities, because Scottsdale and surrounding cities, Florida surrounding cities, these are hotspots. Trying to get a central location is the key. And, you know, with basketball, I can stagger starts. I can have triple headers on a day. You know, the real estate that I have there at Disney, everything is, you know, included there. And they've done a great job setting up all these protocols, safety precautions, getting in the bubble, can't leave the bubble. But those games, you know, it's a basketball court. It's not a baseball field. You got to find places where you have that ability to be able to house all these players and actually have fields for them to play on. And are they broadcast quality for, you know, you can have a spring training game there, but is it broadcast quality with, it's like these minor league parts, you know, Toronto with their Buffalo Stadium, their Buffalo minor league affiliate. You know, they're going to have modifications there to be able to have a game there. The lighting is going, you know, is it different? You're going to have night games. Do you have these spring training sites where the lighting is going to be good enough for TV? There's a lot of things that you have to factor in here. But I did think baseball was looking at that model, but that could have been disastrous as well. Now, let's be honest. What's going on in Arizona, what's going on in Florida and those hot spots, it might even be worse than it is right now. Yeah, Paul.
There's a lot of stories swirling, and without getting too much into it, with the Marlins about how this outbreak could have happened. There's a lot of baseball reporters hinting at that there may have been some type of team activity at night that was not approved, if you know what I mean.
Well, Bob Nightingale of USA Today was not hinting. He was saying that the Marlins went out on the town, I believe, in Atlanta.
I know baseball and the Marlins are partners, but if the Marlins, you know, broke protocol to basically take down the sport, they're going to have to answer for that. The owner of the Marlins will have to answer to Major League Baseball and say, like, look, we had a plan in place. They did have a plan in place. It's working for a lot of other teams. Your 20 dudes went and screwed it up for everybody. It doesn't just stay in-house. You brought it to everybody. And they may have, that franchise could be fined millions of dollars if it's proven to be true.
They could bring down the entire sport.
Yeah.
And the hundreds of millions of dollars at stake here. And they've already done some, you know, maybe not severe damage, but they've damaged the sport, because now you're not going to be able to play 60 games. These other teams, how are they going to make up those games? Who's going to want to go to Florida to play the Marlins? And then do you want them at your ballpark? And this is where the NFL is saying to its leaders, you must police your team. They have to understand what's at stake here. Yes, Eden.
It's like, how do you just convince people to just be an adult, just be a team player, just look for the bigger cause here?
For a short period of time.
How do you, it's just temporary. Just do it for a little while. Do it for a couple months so we could get back on our feet. Just be an adult. How is that so difficult?
But I'm saying to guys who come in here, and I have young guys, I have guys who are single, and I said, you can't go out. Because if you go out, you come in, you test positive, if we get it, I get it, then we shut this down. You just have to be smart, and you can't take chances here. And you can't say, well, I'm young, I won't get it, and if I get it, I'll be asymptomatic. That's not the way it works. Bob Nightingale, USA Today, talked about this. The litmus test for baseball and the Baseball Players Association was always the first 2 weeks of the season, since teams would be traveling for the first time after spring training. Now 30 games have been postponed this week because of COVID-19, and the Marlins are indefinitely grounded. Maybe text Bob Nightingale there, Fritzy. See if he'll join us here. Because I don't know, what else would have to happen where baseball has to seriously consider pausing the season? Or pausing the Marlins. Matt Ryan will join us as well. So final hour on this Friday coming up here. Dan and the Danettes. Seton said if aliens came down to the United States, came down, and he said if he was going to, and they wanted to know about rock and roll, you would give them, and you could give them one song.
Oh, one song?
Ooh.
Oh, see, that's tough.
Oh,
Okay.
okay. But,
Well, I usually go 5. So the idea is if aliens came down and they said, what is rock and roll? Can you explain it to me? And you had 5 songs to give them to explain it. What would those 5 songs be?
Okay.
And that's how I always sort of think about.
And who are those top 5? Who are those 5 songs?
I don't know if I have the 5 always worked out. It sort of changes.
Okay.
Cheap Chick Surrender would always be on there.
You know
In
what?
every version of the list that I make, that song is almost always the first one that I think of.
I never appreciated that song because I remember when I was playing music and like I got to the point where I was just tired of certain bands because you played them all the time. And Cheap Trick was in there.
It's kind of how I am about Train.
And then Seton goes how much he loves Surrender by Cheap Trick.
It's a great song.
So I started listening to it again just to see if I could hear what you're hearing. And I like it. I just don't know if it'd be one of the 5 songs I would hand to an alien and say, here's rock and roll.
Yeah.
But
No,
that's okay.
That's fair. It doesn't have to be the same for everybody.
Yeah. And who else is in there?
I would put Pink Floyd, Another Brick in the Wall.
Okay.
I would put that in there. And there's a sort of reasoning behind a lot of it too, right? Because that Pink Floyd would get you into the whole psychedelic wing of rock and roll, right? And if you say the Rolling Stones and you did Satisfaction, that would get you open the door towards sort of all of the blues and like early black artists and things like that. That that has a wing, that has a place for sure.
And
Right?
then
That's the birth of rock and roll.
Ed Sheeran has got to be in there too.
Okay, so now we're getting into the Richard Marx wing.
Or Taylor Swift.
Right.
Tay-Tay. Yes, Paulie.
I like to throw in Baba O'Reilly by The Who.
Yep.
For a great rock song to present to the aliens. And maybe a little older school, but Helter Skelter by the Beatles.
Okay.
So Beatles, I was going to do Hey Jude.
All right.
I would actually put in, this one might not go over well, but I would put in Smells Like Teen Spirit for Nirvana.
Nirvana?
Yeah, just because that would open the door towards more like hard rock, metal, punk, hardcore, all of those, that sort of alternative genre.
Okay. I see what you're doing. You're touching on different genres to open the door so the aliens could then go and buy some vinyl. And go, you know what?
Yeah, this is guys, this is how it works. Now read the liner notes, see who all their favorite bands were, and then keep going.
We would like to purchase some Chuck Berry, please.
If you do Led Zeppelin, would you do Stairway?
Ooh.
Kind of slowy, fasty? Softy, hardy?
It is slowy, fasty.
Yeah.
Slowy, fasty.
It's one of the Kardashians.
I think so. Slowy, fasty Kardashian. Let me see. What would I do? I would probably do something. Yeah, you might have to do that. But then would you do Freebird because that's Southern rock? If you were going to open up that door.
Yeah, you could do that. Yeah.
Although
I might do Simple Man instead.
Okay.
Of Freebird, but that's fine.
But Freebird is to Southern rock what Stairway to Heaven is to rock and roll, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Sort of the same thing.
Yeah.
I don't know what we accomplished here. But,
I don't know. It's fun.
But it's good. Yeah, it is.
Although I would like to get Bruce Springsteen in there somewhere. But
Fritzy's in favor of that.
Yeah, I'm all aboard on that one.
Maybe you could do, but what would you do with Springsteen?
I don't know, because I feel like there's no horns in the songs that I have.
Rosalita?
So I need to get horns. There needs to be a saxophone somewhere. There needs to be a solo.
So you do Born to Run? Well, what's Clarence Clemens' big saxophone solo? Does he have one?
He does, yeah.
He's got a few of them, I'm sure.
Andrew, what's his big one?
10th Avenue Freeze Out? Is that it?
10th Avenue Freeze Out's a good one.
Yeah,
you
that's
could do
good.
that.
Something like that.
That's perfect.
Yeah, that's not bad. Buckle up, boys. Time to go to work.
Dan Patrick.
Welcome to the Dan Patrick Show.
If you don't know the facts, then you gotta chill.
This didn't impact the game.
What do you mean by that?
I didn't say it didn't impact the game.
Sign stealing is a distinct advantage for the hitter.
I think absolutely not. I don't think it taints it.
So then what are you guys apologizing for?
Absolutely nothing.
When are we going to be over this? When they get the punishment they deserve.
Bill Shaken covers the Dodgers for the LA Times, covers baseball for the LA Times, and he's kind enough to join us. It feels like the commissioner is still protecting the Astros.
Clearly, when Rob Manfred was telling the public, go ahead and shame the Astros, that'll be their punishment, he was telling teams even back then, I do not want a festival of retaliation. Whatever feelings you have about the Houston Astros, please do not express them with 95-mile-an-hour baseball.
Broadcasting from the Mercedes Man Cave, this is Dan Patrick.
Over there chatting with Paulie, and I heard the music, and I went, whoa. Welcome to the final hour of the program. Dan and the Danettes, Dan Patrick Show. Well, let's see. Matt Ryan will join us. The Falcons quarterback will stop by. Talk to him about any hesitation going into this season. We're seeing players opting out. You're going to see more players opting out, but the deadline is coming up next week. But, you know, the list of players opting out for the 2020 season is growing as the deadline to decide looms. And you can criticize these guys if you want, but almost to a man, they're given seriously consideration and heartfelt explanations. So they're talking about this is personal, whether it's your wife just had a baby or you may have a mother whose health has been compromised. You know, the Patriots have 6 players so far. I'm waiting to hear if the McCourty brothers, their defensive backs, the twins, they're 32 years of age, are they going to play? When it comes to health, football players always risk the most, and we might not talk about it as much as we should. But, you know, head injuries are a factor here, but this is something different. And they're rewarded for it, but this is just something that each person has to decide. And you have some marquee players who have decided to opt out for the Patriots. But, you know, there's going to be more players, so keep an eye on that. So we'll talk to Matt Ryan. He'll join us a little bit later on. Your phone calls are always welcome. Jazz over the Pelicans. Lakers beat the Clippers. I've talked about both of those matchups. Still haven't gotten an answer on Zion Williamson because, to me, if Zion wants to play, you want to make the playoffs. You say he's not on a minutes restriction, but it felt like he was on a minutes restriction last night. What happens in the next game? And let's say he's only going to play 15 minutes. Why don't you have him play important minutes like at the end of the game? Because you certainly could have used him last night. Lakers over the Clippers. LeBron didn't look good early, but looked great late. Had the game winner, and then good defense there on Paul George as the Lakers pick up the win. Tonight, 6 NBA games, 13 baseball games, 10 NHL games. All of that coming up this weekend. Bob Nightingale covers the sport as well as anybody. Major League Baseball, USA Today columnist. And the Marlins have put the sport in jeopardy, and Bob joins us now. What's the next step in this situation, Bob?
I don't think baseball even knows. I mean, another game got canceled today with the Brewers and St. Louis Cardinals, with 2 Cardinal players testing positive. This is big for baseball because now they're the first team to have players test positive since the Marlins last week. The Marlins have like 18 or 19 of the 30 guys already sidelined because of positive tests.
Do we know how they came up with all these guys testing positive with the Marlins?
We don't. And Major League Baseball is looking into it. So are the Marlins. Something strange happened. I mean, certainly it seemed like it happened in Atlanta, where they had the 2 exhibition games before flying to Philadelphia, but just a huge outbreak. So apparently someone got positive in Atlanta, then they're on the team plane, and then boom, widespread.
But did you allude to them maybe going out on the town, or at least one of the players was partying in Atlanta?
I don't know about partying, but at least 1 or 2 guys went out in Atlanta. It could have been out to dinner, could have been something innocent, but left the hotel. And I think baseball now, that's why they've cracked down and say, hey, when you're on the road, you're not going anywhere. You're not even going to the hotel restaurant or grabbing a nightcap at the hotel bar, straight back to the room or the little private dining room. But somebody went out in Atlanta.
I don't understand, that baseball is sort of looking at this going, okay, now what is next? They're not going to play 60 games. And some of these other teams aren't going to play 60 games, Bob. I know the goal was just to get to the postseason so the owners can make some money back. But how are they going to decide who goes into the postseason if it's not a balanced schedule by these teams?
I think they have no choice, Dan, but to go by winning percentage. I mean, right now the Marlins are 2-1. So per game, maybe they get to be in the playoffs for the first time in ages. Yeah, it's a mess. One time, Dan, in spring training, or when this thing first got shut down, baseball was considering, worst comes to worst, just a tournament, like a March Madness tournament, baseball style. Maybe they're going to have to resort to that because, like you said, the big thing was just to have the postseason. That postseason's worth about $800 million.
What happens, like for the next shoe to drop and baseball would do something dramatic? What would have to happen, considering all these games that are being canceled now that aren't even Marlins related?
Yeah, I think if just more and more games are canceled, they're going to have to, no choice but to suspend it at one point. And let's be honest, if this was the Yankees had, 18 guys test positive, the Dodgers, the Cubs, the sport would have been shut down for weeks. But it's the Marlins, like, okay, they're not supposed to be competitive anyway. You hate to say that, but if one of the big boys had gone down, then I think they'd have no choice. But let's suspend the season for a couple of weeks and pick it back up.
I agree with you. The fact it's the Marlins, and we go, oh, it's the Marlins. But if this had been the Yankees or the Dodgers, this would be front page news. This would be huge. Is there a chance that the commissioner just says to the Marlins, thanks, we got some nice parting gifts for you, but you're bringing down the sport here, boys?
Well, they're very upset, living with the Marlins. They're having a compliance officer now travel with teams. Now you're supposed to wear the hospital mask instead of the cloth mask. It's possible they could do that, but hey, you have the taxi squad for a reason. That's why they have the extra 30 players. And considering some Marlins, it shouldn't be that big of a drop off. It's not.
You're right. We're talking to Bob Nightingale, the baseball columnist for USA Today. I'm looking at the memorabilia back there. Is that a Bo Jackson football jersey?
It is from Auburn days.
Nice. What's the best piece of memorabilia you have there in the house?
I've got a Yogi Berra jersey. That's pretty cool. And my favorite basketball player, Dr. J. So I have a Dr. J jersey too from Sixers. I wish I had it from the Nets, but yeah. So I like those.
When you tell people about Bo Jackson, and he takes on like this superhero, like this comic book character type persona that people can't believe that somebody was that good. If he had stuck with baseball, Bob, and been healthy, because he got injured playing football, but if he had stuck with just baseball, what kind of career do you think Bo Jackson would have turned in?
I don't know if it would have been a Hall of Fame type career, Dan, but it would have been a multiple all-star type career where he'd be a guy like, okay, is he going to Hall of Fame or not? I was lucky. I got to cover him as soon as he broke in with the Royals. And this guy would just do crazy stuff in the clubhouse. Say, hey, $10, I can jump over this table. Bow and arrow shooting over here. He said, I believe he could have done anything, gymnastics, swimming. The only thing he said he couldn't do was basketball. He says, I can't dribble. But anything else, he would have been an All-American, whatever he wanted to do.
As far as athletes to cover, how would you compare him to Deion Sanders in baseball and maybe somebody else being a great athlete in baseball?
Well, I would say Bo's number one, but, partial because I covered him, was with him every day. And let's be honest, Bo did not like Deion at all. Deion was very flashy. Bo was not. Bo, of all of his accomplishments, I think the biggest accomplishment was overcoming that stuttering problem. It was as bad a stuttering problem as anybody I've ever been around. He went to speech therapy and everything else. Amazing what he's done. Because, I remember sitting down with him early after the first couple of weeks of joining the Royals. And he says, hey, people say, I say Bo knows, or, talk Bo as a third person as I'm arrogant. He goes, no, I can't say the word I without stuttering. So that's how the whole Bo.
Oh, wow. Wow. I did not know that.
Yeah.
Let me leave you with this. Joe Kelly is appealing his suspension. The likelihood of that being reduced is what?
I'd say about 100%. That's 8 games is equivalent of 22.7 normal season. I think they reduce it to 5 games. The bottom line is baseball was livid over that. Just the fact it could have been a complete nightmare. If a brawl had broken out, it would have been on every news channel across the world. Guys spreading COVID and stuff like that, wrestling on the ground. So that was their big fear. Like, hey, if there's any other season, go ahead. You got a free pass. Not this season.
But I also wonder if you gave the commissioner a mulligan to punish the Astros. A, could he have punished the Astros given the battle with the Players Association? And B, would he have attempted that battle?
I don't think so. I don't think he would have got any cooperation. I mean, the bottom line is, if there wasn't a whistleblower, Mike fires, I'm not sure anything comes out. I mean, nothing happened with the Red Sox, the Yankees, other teams investigated. But the fact they had one guy come out and the Astro players got immunity, so they say, yeah, what he said is correct. Unfortunately, he's right. I think if these guys had not got immunity, everybody would have clammed up or just completely denied it.
Yeah.
Really.
Probably so. Mike Trout with the paternity leave. I didn't know there's a paternity list that you can be put on. But so Trout can come and go depending on getting tested and testing negative.
Well, you have a paternity list for 3 days. You're supposed to get 3 days with pay. Now, a team can give you a longer period of time and still pay you, which I'm sure this is the case. The baby is supposed to be born August 3rd, which is Monday. So I think you want to be very cautious. And as my firstborn, I do not want to miss his birth. I want to stay negative test-wise. So I'd be surprised if he's back right away. I could see him missing a week, at least being around the baby for a little bit. And I think the Angels would certainly understand and say, take as much time as you need. We need you back. Really, baseball needs him back.
Has Scott Morris signed Mike Trout's baby yet?
Well, Greg Lennis's agent got him locked up, so he's
okay. All right.
Another 10 or 11 years left. So,
hey, it's great to talk to you, Bob. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Dan.
All right, Bob Nightingale, USA Today. I did not know that Bo Jackson fact. When Bo won the Heisman, and I was covering the Heisman Trophy ceremony at CNN, and we brought Bo Jackson into CNN, and I did a sit-down interview with him. And his stuttering was really bad, like to the point where it was just uncomfortable. You're trying to help him, and I did not know that he couldn't say I without stuttering. And that he would say Bo knows, and then people thought Bo was arrogant because he's going third person. And then I played golf with him and Jim McMahon years later, and you would never know that was the same person. And I remember Bo, he putted one-handed. And so Jim McMahon played golf barefoot, and he probably had a 12-pack of Coors Light in a bag with ice in his golf bag. And here's Bo, who was so powerful, like his swing, with a golf club, but he was putting one-handed. And I remember McMahon was making fun of him putting one-handed, and then Bo would make a putt, and he'd say, "You're not making fun of me anymore, are you, Jim?" And we just had so many laughs that day. But Bo, he just wanted to talk about all the other business ventures that he was in. But, he's taken this. I didn't know he didn't like Deion. I learned a lot there from Bob Nightingale. Deion tells that story of when Bo is running and they're in college, and then Deion says he put his hand on my helmet like he was going to heal me and just pushed him to the ground. But Deion tells that story, and Deion is usually talking about Deion, but he talked about Bo, and he had such reverence for him, taking the pitch and going left, and, Bo was just different, man. Yeah, Paulie.
That's one of my favorite moments in the show history. Deion tells a story, and he goes, and Bo hit it. He was gone. He goes, but I caught him because I could fly. I could fly. Deion's not going to shortchange himself.
A couple of phone calls here. By the way, the Brewers-Cardinals game tonight postponed due to positive tests. So Phillies, Blue Jays, Marlins, Nationals, Cardinals, Brewers not playing today because of COVID-19, which amounts to 20% of the league. Jeff in Detroit back on the program. What up, Doe?
What up, though? Testing 1, 2. Clearly, I was not honoring Qualcomm yesterday. So hopefully you can get it in today.
Yeah, you had a bad connection there, Jeff.
Yeah, I wanted to tell you, though, man, this dude ended up using the Detroit Police Department to clear out all of the dope houses so he could get a steady stream of customers.
How long were you in the police department in Detroit?
I was there for 10 years. I was there on for 10 years, from like 96 to 2006.
What's the strangest thing that you ever encountered?
Oh, Dan, I got a real good one for you. So when you're a one-man unit, I go out as a one-man unit. I'm looking, the call was help out homicide. We get there, it's a dead body with no head. Nobody could find the head. So I had to wait in the house with a dead body by myself until the morgue came. While I'm in there, I'm looking through the refrigerator and everything. I open up the freezer, and the head is in the freezer looking at me. When I tell you, I still have nightmares about it to this day, and that's not the part. The part is trying to call homicide and tell them you just found the head in the freezer. Well, what were you doing in the freezer? From that point on, I earned the name Snacks. So from that point on, dude, you were looking for food. I'm like, no, it was my excellent tutelage investigating skills. I found the head. They was like, bull crap, Jeff. You were looking for food and you found the head.
What else do you have for me today, Jeff?
Man, I just was wondering, at the end of the NBA season this year, will we look at the champion as having an asterisk, or will we look at him with reverence?
Oh, no. There's no asterisk in my opinion. None at all. And thank you, Jeff, for sharing that story. No. Degree of difficulty, no home court advantage. Everybody has got a level playing field. Literally, level playing field. There's no home court advantage. You're going in there. You got to go through the same protocols as everybody else, and there's no asterisk. I mean, people will do that, but they're doing it for clicks. I'm just looking at it for what it is, and that is everybody's there. Everybody's going through the same thing. There's no advantage whatsoever. In fact, there are disadvantages to this. But whoever wins, you're going to be crowned a champ. Now, you might look at baseball and say, is there an asterisk by baseball? Let's wait and see how this plays out. Because I don't know. I maintain that we'll start sports. I don't know if we'll finish sports. Said that with baseball. We're going to start. I don't know if we'll finish. NBA, we're starting. Hopefully we finish. Do you have that Dion? Do you have Dion talking about Bo? Here, we had him at the Super Bowl in Houston, I think. Yeah, Seton.
This is actually from way before that. This clip is 10 years old.
Oh.
It's from November. This says it's on November 11th, 2010.
And I asked Dion about facing Bo Jackson, and here's Dion's story.
When I played for Florida State as a freshman, true story, Bo was at Auburn. Back in the backfield with Brent Fullwood, probably the best tandem of running backs I've ever seen in college. These guys are unbelievable. And, you heard of Bo Jackson, so you were kind of in awe as a young collegiate. I'm 17 years old playing Florida State, 18 at the time, just turned 18. Bo goes behind the huddle in Auburn and throws his hands up as if he was signifying the crowd to get it up. They start cheering and applauding, and I was playing left corner. Bo got a sweep to his left, away from me, and hit it. I mean, hit it, and he was gone. I came out of nowhere because I could fly. Came and got him, ran up on him like it was no other. With his right arm, he extended it, placed it on my helmet like as if he was praying for me, palming my helmet, and stiffed me down and kept going into the end zone like I wasn't even there. That was my Bo Jackson moment.
How great is that story? Because, Dion's got an ego here, and he says, yeah, I caught him because, of course, I can fly. But then Bo gets the final word. Yeah, Paulie.
Dan, I don't know if you remember this. You interviewed Bo Jackson down at Auburn. Remember on that tour?
Yes.
And you discussed him and Deion Sanders. And I think you asked Bo Jackson who was faster, and Bo laughed at you.
Oh, I know he did.
And he goes, Dan, I was not only faster than Deion Sanders, I was also 50 pounds heavier while doing it. And he was like, and the crowd went berserk, the Auburn crowd.
Yeah. Yeah, Bo was, that was just different. It was special. All right, we'll take a break. More phone calls coming up. What's on? It's a Meat Friday here. I didn't even check what's on the Traeger. Do you guys know? What are we having, Paulie?
I just saw huge pieces of steak back there. Like really big ribeyes.
Yeah, I've been too busy today. I didn't even notice. But are they on the grill?
I think they've been smoking all morning.
Oh, okay.
Are you familiar with Hasselback potatoes, Dan?
Tim Hasselbeck or
Tim-
Matt?
Yes, correct.
I like Matt Hasselbeck
One's
potatoes.
like a potato, the other one's a sweet potato.
Yeah, I think Matt's the sweet potato.
Yeah.
We'll take a break. Matt Ryan will join us coming up. Paulie says, I dare you to try to mention somehow 28-3 to Matt Ryan.
That's not true.
And I said, all right, I'll do it. I'll try it. I'm ready. Yes, Todd, you have a question, or you just...
Is that really a good idea?
Yeah.
He's a friend of the show over the years.
Come on.
Do we really want to...
At some point, comedians always talk about this. At some point, you got to joke about it.
But is that the place on national radio and TV to poke him? You can't take him to a bar down the road and have a little dinner and do it there?
I saw him at Pebble Beach, and I didn't bring it up there. So I've waited.
It's long overdue.
I'm long overdue, absolutely. All right, 21 after the hour. More phone calls, but up next, the Falcons quarterback, Matt Ryan. 21 after the hour. Back after this. What do people say to you on the street? What do you get?
I get all types of things. Right now, I'm getting a lot of big mouth, which is nice. People are psyched for the second season. But people scream douche at me a lot. I'm not sure if it's because I've played a douche twice or they just don't like me. But I get that a lot. I played a character named the Douche on Parks and Recreation. He's a morning radio DJ called Crazy Iron the Douche. And then in the movie Sausage Party, I play a literal douche. Everybody is a supermarket product. Mine was a physical douche, the feminine hygiene product.
We're well aware of what that is.
I don't know.
Are you being typecast as a douche?
I am. It's possible. You know what? There are worse things in the world. If someone said this to me early on in my career, there are worse things in the world than getting typecast because it means that you're working.
Okay.
So, I guess I'll take what I can get, no matter what that means.
Our fans wanted to know about the league when we put out our guest list.
Yeah.
They wanted to know. They assume you know what you're talking about on the league.
I did when we were shooting the league. I was much more up day to day on what was happening in football. We had a league inside of the league, like we had our fantasy league going, and I was pretty good at it. And I definitely was like a tinkerer. Like my guy on the league was Ruxin, and he was always tinkering with his lineup. We created a thing called the Tinker Stinker. It's that Sunday morning, depending on where you live, you get on the toilet around 9 a.m. and you do your final last tweaks to ruin your lineup. And that was ripped straight from the headline.
Congratulations to Tom in Northern Illinois who figured out the Friday scoreboard. Tom in Northern Illinois is our winner, 5-12. The clue for 5, anything is possible for number 5. On this day in 2007, Kevin Garnett, uniform number 5, traded from the T-Wolves to the Celtics, who yelled anything is possible when the Celtics won the championship. 12, a recent guest on the show, the clue, don't meddle with his accomplishments. Because on this date in 2012,
Michael Phelps
becomes the greatest Olympic medal winner in history on this day in 2012. So Kevin Garnett, jersey number 5, 2012 for the 12, Michael Phelps, greatest Olympian ever. Booyah. Have a good weekend. You got it.
What's up, everybody? Marvin Prince here. Thank you so much, everybody, for all the emails and interaction. I got one from Jim discussing Marlins getting COVID. He said maybe the Marlins with the Magic City with Lou Williams. I hear the Wings are really good there. That's just an Atlanta thing. Got a music question from Jamie in North Carolina. Actually, a comment. There was a band in the mid-'60s that I believe that set up heavy metal. Cream, pound for pound, the heaviest sounding band in that day. Clapton on guitar, Ginger Baker on drums. Wow. Favorite band ever for me? Prince. Drums, Prince. Guitar, Prince. Bass, Prince. And one more from Michael. He said, hey, Marvin, I have nothing to say right now, but I'm sending this email so Ario has another piece of paper to clean up. Mario, you know what to do. Chat row.
Dan Patrick Show brought to you by Mercedes-AMG. Be prepared for whatever comes your way. The all-new GT 4-door coupe. Because life is a race. Visit your local dealership for a test drive today. If you missed any of our interviews this week or any week from the Mercedes-AMG Man Cave, go to the Dan Patrick Show app or danpatrick.com, where you can watch and listen from inside the Mercedes-AMG Man Cave, Mercedes-AMG driving performance. One of my favorite interviews this week was Michael Phelps. Hopefully you get a chance to listen to that if you did not hear that live when he joined us a couple of days ago. Matt Ryan's going to join us coming up. Started to look at these stats with Matt Ryan. He's third in NFL history in passing yards per game. Drew Brees and Matthew Stafford are 1-2. And then it's Matt Ryan, Peyton Manning, and Tom Brady. I think Matt Ryan being an MVP and having these numbers will get him into the Hall of Fame. He's sixth in NFL history in completion percentage, in completions, 10th in passing yards, 11th in touchdown passes. He's going to end up with 400 touchdown passes, probably 60,000 yards, have an MVP. And he still has a good team, but they're in a division with what could turn out to be two great teams. Yeah, Paul.
You brought up Matthew Stafford. Go back to last year. He only played in 8 games. But he was having the best start of his career. In 8 games, he had 19 touchdowns, 5 picks. He had a quarterback rating of 106. He was on pace to the best year of his career. And the Lions, they were 3-4-1 when he tapped out with the injury. But they were in every game, and there was a couple they lost at the buzzer.
Yeah, it's time starting to run out on Matthew Stafford. And I wonder if he's going to end his career in Detroit. I wonder if he might have one of those late career resurgence with somebody else where you can plug him into a team that is playoff ready. You know, he's not old enough to move on from, but I would understand if they get to a point where they say, we need to rebuild. But this coaching staff, that's why there was a little talk about, does Detroit draft Tua? Remember that? And I was being told is that, you know, this coaching staff knows they're going to be fired if this team doesn't make the playoffs. So Matt Patricia knows we got to make the playoffs here. And you bring in Tua, then what are you going to do with Matthew Stafford? Are you going to have Matthew Stafford for 1 year and then Tua there? And I guess they didn't want to roll the dice there. George in Ohio, then we'll get to Matt Ryan. Hey, George.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
From the old hometown. How you doing, Dan?
Good, sir.
Hey, I totally enjoyed that Bob Nightingale interview. So, because I mentioned two of the players I truly admire. Dr. J, I think, is my favorite NBA player of all time, despite the Jordan can walk on water or whatever. And Bo Jackson, I think, would be in one of two Hall of Fames had he been healthy. I think football or baseball.
I think football he would have been, and thank you, George. I don't know if he would have been in baseball because he was a guy who had power. He was not a big batting average guy. A lot of strikeouts there. But, he was so great in the outfield. I don't know if he would have been a Hall of Famer there. But in football, if he just played football and he was healthy, then I believe he would have been a Hall of Famer. Let's bring in Matt Ryan, the Falcons quarterback, who joins us on the program. More phone calls coming up as well. Matt Ryan joining us from Atlanta. How do you feel about the season there, Matt?
I'm hopeful that we can get this thing going. Obviously with everything that's been going on this offseason and watching the other major sports try and get up and running, and what happened with the Marlins the other day, you become skeptical, but I've been able to get my testing done really the last, 5 days here at our facility and have seen the setup that we have. I got to give our organization a lot of credit. They have it set up really well to keep us as safe as possible. I got my little tracker on in the building. I'm the only one in this room right now, so I got no mask on, but I feel good about what they've done, and I'm hopeful that we'll be able to play come September.
What's the tracker?
So I think this tracker is league mandated, and so they put it on
like a wristband.
Like a wristband, and then there's this kind of device or whatever that's inside of it that tells you if you're within 6 feet of anybody, and so it starts to kind of beat red, and you can move away. But it's also in case anybody test positive, they can go back and check the data to see who was around that person for an extended period of time, so they can quarantine those players or coaches or personnel, and then test them again within 24 hours to make sure everything is safe.
I'm wondering about the quarterback room. Is that going to be different this season? Can you guys all be together and then run that risk of if one guy tests positive, then everybody else is, and what that would do to your roster?
It'd be tough. It'd be tough if it wipes through, one of the position groups, which in our sport can be pretty small. I mean, it could really affect, the outcome of games or may not even be able to play. But, we're lucky in our building. We've got a great setup where we have tons of space. And so, we're able to kind of, separate from each other, make sure we all got masks on and try and do everything we can. But you're right, there's a lot of unknown on what and could happen. But I think it's our responsibility as players and, as citizens of the country, right, to kind of do everything we're being told to do to try and stay as safe as possible.
We're talking to Matt Ryan, the Falcons quarterback. What was your reaction to the Patrick Mahomes contract?
I was happy for Patrick, man. He it's a good time to be a quarterback in the NFL. There's no question about it. So, but he's been such a dynamic player since he's come into the league, and I think it's good for him. I think it's good for their organization too. There's long-term stability there, and they know what they've gotten him in terms of a player, in terms of a leader, and he's been unbelievable, and I'm happy for him.
But explain this to me, Matt. Maybe you're not the right guy to ask this question to, but why is it the next quarterback gets more than the previous quarterback, no matter what? And that next quarterback is not necessarily better than the previous quarterback who had the highest salary in the league.
I don't overthink it, Dan. I don't overthink that one. I just go with it.
But do you look at other salaries here and say, well, I'm better than him, or he's getting paid more than me, I'm better than him?
I don't. I think that everybody, there's a market there, right? And whatever the market dictates, that's what it is. And so, I've never really gotten too hung up on it. And we're fortunate. I say that from a place where I've been fortunate my entire career to be incredibly well compensated. And so, but but I just, it's never been something that I've been jealous of other guys or, felt like other guys weren't deserving of it. I'm for everybody, making what they can make and getting what they can get. And, because to be honest with you, for as long as I've played, you see people who get injured at different times. Our game is so one play at a time that, I'm all for people getting what they can get when they can get it.
What was your reaction when Brady signed with the Buccaneers?
I was like, come on, man, really? No, I mean, I kind of, my gut was kind of telling me, this could be a potential landing spot for him. Having played against them last year, knowing how good their defense was, the weapons that they have on offense, I thought, this could be a potential landing spot for him when he announced he wasn't going back to New England. So I wasn't altogether too surprised because I thought it would be a good fit.
Have you ever had a conversation with him about that Super Bowl?
No, just he sent some text messages after that game, and I'm not sure I'm not sure I'm still in a good enough place to have a reasonable conversation with him about it. I'm not sure I'll ever be there.
But if you played golf with him, would you bring it up, or would you wait for him to bring it up?
I think you got to rip the Band-Aid. I'm at a point in my life where I've found in these kind of things, I think you just got to get it out there and throw it out there. And so, yeah, I think if I were, having a beer with him or playing golf or something like that, I think it'd be like, man, so why'd you have to do that? Why'd you have to go there?
Because you know that he loves to talk trash, but there's certain things that are those off limits?
He's always, to be honest with you, in the passing, the times I've seen him in passing or the conversations that I've had with him, he's always been super respectful.
Okay.
So I don't think he needs to talk any trash about that game. There's nothing that really needs to be said.
What are you doing with Gatorade?
Well, I'm happy, to be able to promote Eric Gilbert, who I got to spend time with in December and announced when he was the National Football Player of the Year. But they're announcing he's the 2020 Male Athlete of the Year at the high school level. So just, congratulating him. I've come full circle in this spot. Saw him as the football player last year. Excited to see what he does at LSU and excited for him because it's an incredibly prestigious award, the most prestigious in high school sports, because it takes into account not only what you did on the field, but also, who you are as a person and what you did into a classroom. So, huge congratulations to him.
If it wasn't Boston College, where were you going?
I was kind of between a couple different places, Iowa, Purdue, and some of those schools in the Big Ten. But Boston College was always kind of the spot I wanted to play for whatever reason. My uncle played there. I grew up one of the few Boston College fans there are. I grew up a BC fan, and I always wanted to go there.
Just for the record, you're not going to opt out this season. You are going to play for the Falcons.
I'm going to play. I'm already in the building and all checked in and all that stuff. I guess guys have until the 3rd, and I respect that decision for people to make it, but I feel comfortable with playing this year.
Great to visit with you again. Good luck in that division. Don't have too many. Thank God the Panthers are there. They're not very good, but the Saints and Buccaneers, they're going to test you a little bit there, Matt.
Yeah, you never know. You never know how it's going to go, but it's going to be a tough one this year for sure. We've got to work it out for us.
Thank you, Matt. Great to talk to you. All right, be safe. That's Matt Ryan, Falcons quarterback. All right, I lightly touched on 28-3 and Brady, right?
He said he's not in the place yet where he can banter around with the boys about that.
And just the fact that he's thinking, we got to get by the Saints. And then it's like, oh, you got to be kidding. Brady's coming to Tampa Bay? Oh, well, they got Carolina on the schedule twice, so that helps. Yeah, Paulie.
I said it before, but if Matt Ryan gets a Super Bowl and an MVP, 28-3 will be someday something you can not joke about because he still had that terrible loss, but it would be muted.
Well, that's why it helps Russell Wilson that he did have a Super Bowl. And he lost one, but he still has a Super Bowl. But I don't think Matt Ryan's getting back to the Super Bowl. I don't think so. What are the Super Bowl odds of my Atlanta Falcons there? Paulie, can you pull those up?
Stand by, please.
All right. got to be over 100 to 1.
Do you think they're in the top 10
No.
in Super Bowl odds?
No. Yes, he.
So then, do you think that Matt Ryan and Julio Jones get a little bit of a hall pass then? If you don't think they're getting back to the Super Bowl?
What do you mean that they should be better? Our expectations should be higher?
Yeah. Julio Jones, arguably the best receiver over the last, I don't know, however many years.
Decade.
Right.
Yeah.
Matt Ryan, we just said, was first ballot Hall of Famer. I mean, I know you need.
I think
more
he's
than
a
that,
Hall of
but-
Famer. I don't know if he's a first ballot Hall of Famer, but he's Hall of Famer.
Okay. Because like you think it's you think of Matthew Stafford and Calvin Johnson, and like, man, why couldn't they do more of that combo?
Yeah. Well, I just think when you start to look at a quarterback, and as much as we want to say, well, that quarterback didn't win that many Super Bowls or only won one, there's so much that goes into, like Brady has won Super Bowls, not necessarily because of Brady, because he had a great defense those first couple of years, or he had Adam Vinatieri. If you look at the Falcons, who else do they have? I mean, they got Todd Gurley. Todd Gurley 3 years ago, that would be better. Yes, Paulie.
The Atlanta Falcons are right in the middle, 16th for Super Bowl odds. They're with teams like the Rams, the Bears.
What are the odds?
I got 40 to 1.
Oh, I thought they'd be higher than that.
Want me to get in on it?
I mean, like 100 to 1. No.
I'm sorry. Well, 4,000 to 1.
Oh.
Well, like, I meant in that range.
Wait, 40 and then it's 4,000?
Well, no, like the plus 4,000. They are 40 to 1. If you put 100, you win 4,000.
Okay.
So, yeah, 41 is great.
Okay.
I think I messed up there.
The odds are long.
Okay, I'll give you some teams that are similar in odds, and which one, if you had to pick one to win the Super Bowl.
Can I take a break here?
Sure.
Because I got food out on the Traeger, and I'd like to go out and have a piece of steak. I got to go out there and supervise the cooking of my steak. We'll come back. This day in sports history, Paulie's got an interesting question or something like that on it.
I don't promise that.
Yeah.
I'm not promising that.
Yeah, Paulie with an interesting question.
I retract that.
How do you think we did without McLovin today?
I would have liked a shark report.
Yeah, but I'm going to wait until Monday. Like, he's got a whole weekend at Cape Cod looking for sharks. Can you imagine McLovin at the beach? How much sunblock? They probably has mayonnaise on. All right, we'll take a break here. We'll close up shop and a little arcade fire next, right here on the Dan Patrick Show.
We need our quarterback.
Okay, McLovin. Where's McLovin? All right. Okay, so
Wait. You know how they say Cubs fans, they can die now? I didn't
you
think...
can die now. You won a World Series.
Oh.
Okay, so what do you want to tell him what you're going to do?
Yes,
to him?
you like
Let's just
you
run.
backpedal?
We're ready. Oh, okay. You don't. Oh, okay. I was trying to help you out.
Can somebody? Can we chip Sean something? A little help here.
Nobody's chipping him.
See, you're the receiver.
McLovin, you're in the shotgun. I'm gonna stand over here.
Call it out.
Sit. Hey. Roughing.
Yeah.
See how Cam gets a break?
I want another shot.
You want another shot?
Yeah.
I didn't know you got a shot that time.
I figured him out.
Oh, you got it.
That was a blown coverage there
Okay.
on that one. That's a misassignment.
Sit. 4-2. Hey. Oh! See, he got out of his rushing lane.
I want to know what this feeling
That's like
is
a backside
Sean. So if
stiff
McLovin's the quarterback and he's standing right there, and you get around here and you're right there, that feeling from here to there,
always the best. So you act like so. Y'all do this.
I'm looking
Go
downfield.
right here.
Yeah.
So after I beat him, he's probably gonna pass you, and I'm gonna loop around.
Yeah.
I'm gonna beat him, and I'm gonna get here. Make sure I got you with the tackle here, and I'm coming up for the ball. Right there, so I don't miss.
Oh, so you don't want to hit him right in the stern,
Nope.
right in the back.
I want to make, because he's going to step up. When he gets here and he steps up, I'm going to come around and make sure I don't miss him. So I'm going to grab here and I'm going to go for the ball.
So you want to get the sack, maybe the fumble, not
Strip
hit
sack.
him.
Strip sack.
What if it's Cam or Ben and like you really got to worry
So
about getting
that's what this is for.
Yeah.
So say if I miss and I don't get the ball.
Yeah.
So you tuck the ball, you bring it down.
Yeah.
Oh, you go here. So I'm gonna get both.
What if
so I won't
it's
miss?
Drew Brees?
If it's Drew, see Drew's short, so Drew had to step all the way up. So what I'll do, because Drew
moved up.
Drew will go back 7 yards and then take 3 steps back, 3 steps forward. So when I feel the tackle here, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start going into the tackle here, and I'm gonna push that tackle right into him, and I'm gonna reach across that tackle's body and reach there. Because Drew would take a 7 or 8 step drop, and he's short, so he can't see all over the offensive lineman. So he'll have to come back up because he can't really see.
Babe, we got to run back, but man, that was awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks for the shoulders.
Yeah. Appreciate it. Thanks a lot, Dan. I appreciate it.
Sean.
All right. Thank you. You got it.
Good seeing you,
Jay,
Sean.
thank you.
Thanks, fella.
Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it. All right. Thank you.
Have fun this weekend.
Oh, that was
Thanks.
fun.
This is.
So Dan, the potatoes are smoked as well.
Yeah, those are lemon, lemonade.
Gremolata.
Remoulade?
Lemon gremolata is what that is.
Hasselback potatoes.
Yep, Matt Hasselback potatoes.
Oh no.
That's what those are called.
Times.
I don't know, what kind of
How
meat
is
is
it,
this?
Todd?
Excellent.
Ribeye?
It's good
It
time.
sounds good.
The potatoes are really refreshing. It's like a little zest to them.
They're crazy good.
I have to go in and.
Let's do it.
There is one more segment.
Oh, damn it.
That's really good. Pretty good. See you, Todd.
All right.
Have a good life.
Let me grab this guy.
Close up shop as we always do every Friday on this program. Send this out to Mike Golic and his family. What a great run. Part of radio history. He did it extremely well. Great job, Mike. I have great respect for anybody who does morning drive radio. I don't care where you are in the country. I have great respect because I did it in Dayton, Ohio when I first started out, and it changes your life because it gets to the point around 6 o'clock in the evening, and then you start to do the math on when you need to get up and when you eat. So you'd get done at 10 in the morning, And then all of a sudden, are you having lunch at 10? It just changes your life. And those who get up and do it well, great admiration. And for Mike Golic, certainly with Greeny, as of late with Trey Wingo, to be able to do it and do it for sustained period of time and a high level of success, that's a great run. When Mike and Greeny, Mike Golic called me. He was working in Arizona, and he was doing sports radio. And I think he talked to somebody in management because he wanted to find out, like, what's the place like? What do I need to know? And he called me. And Mike Golic was not a household name. I knew him from Notre Dame and a little bit from the Philadelphia Eagles. But he called and he said, tell me what I need to know. And we talked for a little while. And I said, are you going to do radio or TV? And he goes, I want to do both. And I said, well, make yourself available for TV. Because not being a household name, you want reps. And all you want to do is always be around. And, Dan Orlovsky's doing this. You want to be available. Sean Salisbury did this for a while. You're available. Mark Schlereth did this. Same thing. You're not household names, but you're there. And Golic was able to be around. And then he also started doing mornings. He started with Tony Bruno, and then Greeny came in. And after that, it was Trey Wingo. But, you had the odd couple with Greeny and Golic. It worked. The old TV show. It worked. And, that's a landmark show. All right, Paulie, Super Bowl odds that you want me to get into?
Yeah, here's a bunch of teams that have the similar Super Bowl odds. Which team would you bet to win?
Okay.
Los Angeles Rams, Atlanta Falcons, Chicago Bears, Cleveland Browns, Los Angeles Chargers are all similar Super Bowl odds. Rams, Falcons, Bears, Browns, Chargers.
I've been down this Charger road before.
Don't do it because this is the year they'll do it.
I would probably take the Cleveland Browns. Even though you're in a division where Pittsburgh with Ben will be better, and can Baltimore have sustained greatness there? Cincinnati will probably not be a big factor, but they might steal a game from somebody. I'd probably do the Browns. See, the Chargers are in the same division with Kansas City. The Raiders at times were pretty good last year. Like, they had glimpses there. And Denver, this is supposed to be the year we see Drew Lock and those weapons there. So I'd go Cleveland, and then I'd go the Chargers. Ryan in California. Hey, Ryan.
Hey, Dan, what's going on?
Hey,
knowing that you guys play Arcade Fire every week, I thought I'd call in and share a story and ask a question. I went and played a pickup game in the UC Berkeley, Cal Berkeley gym once, and Arcade Fire was actually playing at the Greek that night, and in walks Win Butler to play in the pickup game. Subsequently dominated everybody and then got kicked out of the gym after he got fouled really hard and started a fight. So knowing that he is a huge basketball fan, I think he's been the MVP of the NBA Celebrity All-Star Game like twice. Have you guys ever considered having him on and talking with him about basketball?
I haven't, but it just I went to see U2, and U2 came out onto the stage to this song, and I just went, wow. U2 was coming on stage to Arcade Fire, and then I started listening to them, and Win is the lead singer, and he's a pretty good basketball player. He's about 6'5", 6'6", I think. Pretty good basketball player, but no, I just enjoyed the music. Yeah. See,
I think there's a couple stories too of him getting heated at a basketball game, like pickup basketball games, and he's very, very serious about basketball.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, but thanks for the phone call there, Ryan. Let's go around the room what we learned. Todd, I'm going to start with you. What did you learn today?
You're more concerned about Zion getting hurt playing in these short bursts than for an extended period of time.
Yeah, I don't want him to try to do too much over a 3 or 4 minute period. I'd rather say you got 6 or 7 minutes. Just go out there and, get loose. Seton, what'd you learn?
Crouch defenders.
Yeah, who knew?
Who knew?
Crotch defenders. Paulie?
28-3, Matt Ryan's not there yet.
What we learned brought to you by Raycon. Raycon wireless earbuds, the way to go. Get 15% off your Raycon order. Buyraycon.com/Patrick. That's buyraycon.com/Patrick. Thank you again. Our pleasure to serve you. We'll talk to you on Monday here on the Dan Patrick Show.